Help! I've been tossed overboard.
I'll have to bill you extra for my time.
Welcome to the show. You look incredible, like a dessert that owns a yacht.
That's exactly the vibe I was going for. You know, sweet but slightly out of your tax bracket.
Mission accomplished. How does one even shop for a suit when...
Gold on my neck, gold on my hand, purple with the stripes, that's the walk of a man. Sidewalk shining, city lights humming, every step I take, they know a boss is. Blazing the whip, gotta vanquish the needs. My kingdom for some poppy seeds, yo.
Is that a poppy seed? You realize I'm your P.O., right? Straight to booking!
Police or zombie problems? Your tortoise won't stop breakdancing?
Try blue tape.
The miracle of our age. Yeah!
Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem. Under the name ThATuMBRELLAgUY, I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me, or I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me, or I'm a...
You know what? I talk to your...
Mask on. Lights low. Size 14.
Cool, yup, down. They were selling me a Halo. Hands deep in the payroll. PR wolves in the raincoat, calling it a campaign. Same old 100K in the smokestack. Trust us will bring hope back. Every post was a blowback to the screenshots. Hit the group chat. Career crooks in a PR suit. One donor, paid the whole loot. 56 in a quick swoop. Left them hollow as a dry route. Timeline turning into siren. Every threat another siren. Can you feel the floor sliding? Yeah, we see where you're hiding.
Master.
Pulling down the curtains, receipts in my hand, now it's certain. You were out here grifting for the cloud and the cut. Now the whole feed watching while we're lining you up. Masked up, every line replay. Name and the tag, can't escape that display. You can scrub, you can spin, you can cry, that's enough. But the internet remembers and it's looking real rough. Yeah, that umbrella guy drop links. Suddenly your bravado shrinks. Every don't ass start to stink. When the totals never match the ink. Yeah, you were bragging in the group chat. Same time begging for a new stat. Talking justice in the hashtags. As you laughed about the cash grab, you said trust the plan. Now what? We just mapped every dime, every cut, every alt, every sock, every front. Funny how the mask slips in a stunt. Is it fraud? Is it cloud? Is it both? Is it law on your neck, on your throat? You could claim it's a game, it's a joke, but a lot of people broke when you spoke. Masked up, pulling down the curtains, receipts in my hand, I was certain. You were out here grifting for the cloud and the cut. Now Now the whole feed watching while we're lining you up. Masked up, every line on replay. Name in the tag, can't escape that you spray. You can scrub, you can spin, you can cry, that's enough. But the internet remembers and it's looking real rough. Screens glow, ain't scroll, mask on.
What's up, folks? How's it going today? Man, oh man, have we got a show for you today? Holy moly, folks. I hope everybody's doing good. It is the early broadcast for our wonderful Sunday afternoon show. By the way, I didn't think I was even going to get in. It took me for a little while to set it up and get it going, a little bit longer than I thought it would, but we got it set up and we needed to, man. The stuff that kicked off last night, man, you would not believe it. If you didn't see it, you would not freaking believe it. I actually was kind of stunned by the way last night went. You know, we had a live stream last night where, interestingly, you had people that decided that they would create how do I say this nicely? An AI version of Megan Fox that was, let's see, bare. That's a good way to say it. Was bare, was not wearing anything. It was essentially from the I'm going to say sternum up. And yeah, she's covered, but and they have her doing some pretty questionable things. On top of that, they also have, of course, Hales and items related to Hales on their channel that, oh yeah, and then they decided they would accuse me of some pretty horrible things. Now, why does all this matter? Well, we are talking about some people that we are in the midst of a lawsuit with. And when you have a lawsuit, you would think people would be smart enough not to put certain things like that into print with their names. And yet, not only that, but I kind of want to show you something new with this too. So if you go and check the channel out that all of this is stationed on, what you'll find is this isn't just a Legally Leslie anymore. This also is Michael. Now, why would this matter, you might ask? Well, in addition to being a party in litigation, this person is also a lawyer, aka an officer of the court. So now, as an officer of the court, they are supposed to comport themselves in a specific manner, especially when there is litigation afoot. And they decided, no, you know what? They're not going to do that. So everything that happens on this channel now is connected to both of their names. Fun times. Everything that's up there is. And like I said, you'd be stunned by some of the things that have popped up on this channel, especially last night. Oh my God. It was... So let's see. Let's before we start hitting some transcript portions, I'm going to show you a couple of things. First of all, you know, as far as, again, this channel is concerned, short-wise, let me throw this up here, because now you got to remember there are a few people that are in a lawsuit with this person. And you can see amidst all of their stuff, you know, again, you see the channel belongs to both Leslie and Michael. You'll notice they have Hales all over their channel. with mushrooms. Now, why would they refer to mushrooms, you might ask? Well, that's not because of a height thing. Oh, no, that's because of allegations that they're making. All right. And there's going to be a point to this. In fact, there is one video in particular on there that, give me a second here. I'm going to blur out portion of that. But you can see right here, they put a mushroom mat, obviously, 100% as a Hales. And I blur part of that out there because, again, I'm not going to have that on my channel. These are the kind of things that end up getting channels flagged. But on top of that, I mean... Oh, Lord. So they decide to put a mushroom in certain areas on this person. Now, that's going to be important for the next part of this because it's not just about this guy right here. It's also about Megan Fox. Now, as part of their channel broadcast yesterday, they decided to create two things. They decided they would, number one, they would create a fake, like I said, AI Megan Fox. Now, this is a person, by the way, right now, that is, as part of their litigation against them, has been accused of distributing revenge porn. Now, as part of that, you would think, like I said, when they do that, they'd be very careful about what they would put up, right? Well, you'd be wrong. You'd be absolutely freaking wrong. Instead, they decided they would put up. Now, I have blurred out part of this because all of this here is, again, it's an AI creation that is supposed to be Megan Fox. They tell you that it is Megan Fox. They even tag in Megan Fox into the description of it as well. And they have this person with some very suggestive items doing things with breadsticks in their mouth and also mushrooms, as you can see here. Now, you already saw what the mushrooms suggest. And all of that together, when you look at the revenge porn allegations, with a Hales and a Megan Fox, and then you look at this with the channel with the mushroom allegation because of who that's tied into, and then this, oh yeah, that's a problem, right? That's a very, very bad problem. Now, you would think that would be as dumb as things might get, yeah? But you'd be very, very wrong if you thought that. Again, you're already talking about two people that are suing them. Now, it's strange to think that these people, first of all, one of these is they were an ex-lawyer, let's say. They have retired in lieu of discipline, and their ideas on what the legal system means are some of the worst ideas I have ever heard. So when they talk about what you should or shouldn't do while you're involved in litigation, some of this stuff blows my mind. I mean, again, these are the same people right now, currently. In talking about Hales, and we're going to get to more stuff in just a second, but in talking about just Hales alone, they have a narrative that they have created that is part of that channel. They have accused Hales of some pretty heinous allegations, some of the worst stuff that you could, while at the same time stating that they planned and plotted and conspired together with other people in this what the hales movement. Rather, they got together with them. They created a false narrative that included this person and their husband lawyer, where they would tell Jeremy Hales that this woman was fighting and allow this man to think that she could potentially be in danger from a guy that she has accused of DV, and they would utilize all of that in order to try to entrap and ensnare him in something. You would think that alone would be one of the dumbest things that you would ever hear, right? But no, it's not going to stop there. In fact, last night, they decided they were going to pull a trifecta. They were going to try to make allegations about not just two of the people that are suing, but also they thought they'd throw myself in there too. And wow, some of the stuff that they threw in. Now, I have always wanted somebody to throw this stuff in under their own name, because I never thought that a person would be this freaking stupid, but they are. Okay, so here's what they decided to throw under their name. Allegations toward me, which are insane. They decided they would use my real name. They decided that they would say that I had married a client that was younger than I was, because I was a therapist treating younger underage clients. So they told the world that this is 100% legit. Now, there's a problem with this narrative. As I've said many times with this, the people that created this narrative, first of all, they would not put it under their real names. Why? Because anyone could easily debunk it. The easiest way to debunk that would be to look at marriage versus when I practice therapy, because for this to work, I would have to practice therapy before I got married. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Not for them. For myself, I practice therapy afterwards. I actually met my then wife. I met her in college as I was going for a degree. Now, I had not decided what I was doing with that degree as of yet. I actually thought at the time I was going to, I thought about teaching school, and I did teach for a hot minute over at the school that I was going to. As I pursue, I taught as an undergrad, first as a TA. Then as you reach graduate assistant levels, you get to start actually teaching classes. And I started teaching my own classes, by the time I had a master's degree, and I was working on my PhD stuff, which I did not finalize because of death in the family. But by then I was teaching my own stuff, but I had no idea what I was going to do there. But I ended up getting married while I was in college. And there were many years between that, getting my degree, and ultimately deciding, hey, I'm not going to go this route. I'm going to go into mental health. So it would be very easy to debunk that. All a person would have to do is look up marriage, because you can find marriage certificates on just about anybody, and graduation year. That would be the simplest thing to do. But these people don't care if that's true or not. What they've wanted to do, they didn't just decide that through. Now, we're going to look at some transcripts through stuff too, because this last night was crazy. But this is something I talked to our lawyer today about it, because I was like, all right. I've never had a person outside of these anti-health people. I've never had a person put their name to an allegation like that. I don't know. It's always when people try to ruin you, they usually try it anonymously. But these anti-health people are so fucking stupid. They think that you can just do whatever. And, again, we're already in a lawsuit. So I talked to our lawyer today, and we will be amending our complaint to include that. We will include the items with AI Megan Fox, because again, they decided to add to the whole revenge prawn thing. They decided, hey, it would be a great idea, for them to take this and to add that to it, which I was like, are you kidding me? Why would you do that? Why would you think this is smart? They could do a million different things, but to create something that it's not to laugh or to deride. It's again to sexually humiliate a female. That's wild. And then on top of it, like I said, it ties into the stuff that they've put up with Jeremy Hales. There's also, if they're going to if you're going to revise things, I mean, she has made some pretty awful statements about Hales. That stuff definitely needs to be in a lawsuit. And also, again, those statements about me. These people have also, what that looks like, here's a problem for Michael. Now, if you go and look up anything about how a lawyer, an officer of the court, is supposed to comport themselves, what you'll find is, well, that is definitely not something that a person like that should be doing. In fact, if you look up them and what they're saying here, essentially what we're describing here, we're describing multiple overlapping issues. Now, some of them are aggravated by the fact that one of these speakers, like I said, is an officer of the court. Now, out of that, when you go after people and you question, you start aiming false statements at their character, their motives, and you fabricate criminal or sexual allegations. What that looks like is retaliatory conduct. It looks like somebody that is creating this stuff for the purposes of retaliating against you because you have a lawsuit. Now, courts, they hate retaliatory actions, retaliation, especially when that's meant to chill speech, when that's meant to intimidate litigants, and when that's meant to poison public perception during active proceedings. When they're trying, again, in active courts, they're trying to poison the well and cause other people damages. Now, as part of that, again, when you make false allegations like that, like the stuff they aimed at myself, and they've actually aimed at Hales as well, and at Megan Fox, like we're talking about defamation per se. Now, when it comes to allegations of grooming in Florida, but most jurisdictions anyhow, when you're talking about something like that, you actually, like we've talked about before, you don't have to prove damages. You saw this when Fed 1 was being discussed, because the accusation itself is presumed so harmful that an ordinary person, they understand that the only reason an allegation like that would exist is to do harm. On top of that, the intent, it matters. With them doing this with reckless disregard. That's an important thing, by the way, because with all of this, these people, of course, they would argue that you are public figures, at least limited purpose public figures. But the whole idea of malicious conduct, it's the fact that something, again, it's done with reckless disregard for the truth. That means that either they know that it's false, or they just don't care if it's false. They absolutely don't care, because again, they think that, hey, they can damage people. Now, Leslie in the past has made statements about things like this. She has talked about how SEO works, which is search engine optimization. She's talked about how you can damage a person by making claims or by doing things online. And then, you know, when you come back to it later on, the allegation itself, that's all that matters. I believe firmly that that's what she has been doing to Jeremy Hales with her YouTube channel. And like I said, I cannot believe that an officer of the court would think, hey, this is a smart way to play. What a dumb fucking person, you know. I did forget about that, by the way, Cynic in Chief. I did say yesterday, I've never hosted debates, but there was a debate that I did host at one time. You know, it wasn't supposed to be a debate, though. the Liam Gray, John De La Rose discussion was supposed to squash beef. That wasn't supposed to be a debate. So I have hosted a debate before, but that was not on purpose. I guess you are right in that, you know. What a bunch of crazy people, though. Now, remember again, as I noted with this, just in case you, for some reason, you're new to all of this stuff and don't understand what has been transpiring over the last few months, remember, and we're going to look, like I said, at the transcript from last night, because it is nuts with these people. But what you have to remember with all of this, too, is that there is a lawsuit going on, and you can see it right there. You see Jeremy Hales, the LLC, Elephant Shoe. You have George, you have Megan Fox, and you have myself suing both of these people. Now, these people, again, the reason that this lawsuit exists, by the way, is because Leslie Fertarinos, she decided when she got involved in this mess right from go that she was going to put together a malicious lawsuit, a lawsuit that she never intended on following through with. She's done this multiple times in the past, as I've talked about before. You know, in fact, maybe you're one of the, if you saw this play out outright, I mean, it was something to behold. But essentially what she was putting together a lawsuit for is she was saying that random people on Facebook had created just Facebook groups, and these Facebook groups, they had posted things like, I don't know, items that called her a Muppet. Yes, a Muppet. For real. They had also posted things like illegal filings for cases that she had been involved in. And some of these people had made fun of her. And because of that, somehow, in some way, everybody was responsible that had a microphone. Now, she never intended to go forward with these lawsuits. She ended up, when she put them together, she ended up dropping myself and a few other folks off of these lawsuits, but she would come back to them and say, hey, you know what? I can add you at any time in the next 2 years. And if I have to add you back, well, guess what? A judge isn't going to like that. So pretty much, she could create dozens and dozens and dozens of sock accounts and harass the crap out of people. But you can say anything about it otherwise. Now, that might work with people out there that have no idea whatsoever what's going on. But for people like, well, most of you, I'm sure, for myself, for sure, but I'm sure most of you understand too. That's not exactly how lawsuits and litigation work. You know, you can't tell somebody, I can do anything I want to you, and you can't do anything about it. You can't speak on it or anything else, or they're going to hold that over your head. So, end up calling that out. And of course, when we do, she ends up adding us all back to litigation. Now, as part of that too, she also doxed. And on top of it, as she's being crazy through it, she asks for things like, while she's doing all of this stuff, while we are in active litigation, she is also telling people to roast her. Let me pull this up again, just in case you missed some of this. I do want you to understand. She was asking people, hey, you know, that umbrella guy, what the hell's DJ Radis, since everyone is having such a fun time roasting me, and you clearly can see I hold my own with content creation, I challenge each of you boys to create a video by Friday, the ultimate roast, and I will do the same against you. And we can have everyone vote on the best content, because I must say your content is boring me, and I'm hungry for good content. Game on, bonus boys. LOL, let's see which of you boys has the courage to be a true content creator of a short 2 to 5 minutes humorous roasting video. Are you man enough to battle me? Now, out of that, DJ Radis does indeed say, yes, I will take that on. And guess what? DJ Radis's comments from that period end up in an amended complaint. She essentially baits items where she wants to file litigation. Well, all of this goes on for a bit until, as she has said in the past, she will drop the lawsuit. You know, because she, again, never intends to follow through with lawsuits. She just puts lawsuits on the docket, because if she puts them on the docket, then search engine wise, it will damage people. Again, that's a big no-no. There's a video of that, by the way. If you are curious about hearing that yourself, you can find a video. It is put on my Facebook. I had to think about it for a minute. Yes, it's on my Facebook, where she just straight up admits to that. I mean, it's wild to kind of hear there, but it's there. You can check it out. So anyway, and again, I'm leaving out quite a bit that happened through all of this mess. Now, while all this is going on, of course, you know, she ends up ultimately, like I said, dropping that, but she decides to file police reports. She decides that she's going to go to the FBI and make what are very much fake complaints. You know, she tries to harass people. And so, again, we end up filing a lawsuit because of it. Because why wouldn't you file a lawsuit? And the lawsuit is very, it's very easily understood. You know, we have, I thought about today after we look at what was stated last night, we would look at this. This is not, there's 100 pages of lawsuit, but this in and of itself, you're talking about her filing is a main part. In fact, if you're curious about seeing this lawsuit and the craziness that she decided to throw in and pretend was real, you have a case number right here. You can see it. You can just, again, screenshot this right here. Look that up in a search, and you will find all the documentation to that. And this amended complaint, this is the amended complaint. If you look up the amended complaint, what you'll find is what she filed to begin with. But last night, man, the stuff that she decided to throw out there, and again, treat as though it's all real. And it doesn't matter. Here's something again. These people are very stupid about. They think that because someone else has said something, that allows them to say whatever. You know, you can just, that's what, like the Fats, for example, that's what they believe. They believe that if somebody has repeated it before them, it essentially gives them a get out of jail free card. And again, that's not how that stuff works at all. Oh my Lord. It's so dumb. I've seen dumb people, but idiots, they can't even, what I learned last night too, the biggest crime in all of this is the fact that they confuse me for Just Jay. You know? Yeah, here's exactly, well, what'll happen, Cynic, what will not play with for them at all is the allegations of revenge porn. And then when you put, you know, again, when you put things with the totality of it all, when you take the, you know, you got, like I said, you have her own, give me 1 minute. You have her own allegations, first of all, where she says that Hales, the reason she calls him Mushroom Man is because she's made certain allegations. And that includes her stating that she, at one time, he did a horrible thing to her and she saw a video. Not that she has a video, but she saw a video off his phone where he showed her his now that's going to be a real problem for her because again she's based her entire channel, including a channel based around her husband now, with again off of that claim she has decided to put together again Mushroom Man, and I'm bleeping out his again, they're talking about his certain points. And on top of that, they've taken it to other channels too. So it's not necessarily having somebody on the channel and putting a mushroom in their mouth. It's having them create revenge porn of Megan Fox and Jeremy Hales. These people, again, she was accused of distributing that revenge porn. And then on top of it, they create yet something else that goes along with it. So that's going to be a problem. Like you said, that will not play with the jury at all. That would be something that would look very, very bad, especially when you consider juries are made up of normies. They're not made up of people that deal with this kind of stuff that we deal with a lot online. And the real harm, again, is bogus claims. Like you said, the bogus claims online, for them to go and them to put that together, things that, again, they don't care if it's true or not. You know, like a lot of people, I think a lot of people don't understand what give me a second. Public figure. I'm going to look something up for you because of actual malice. See, actual malice is the standard that you have to judge with public figures. You know, with public figures, even if we're talking about a limited purpose public figure. You know, how does a defamation work? Well, we saw a great example of that again with a Johnny Depp, and we're not comparing one to the other. We're not saying, you know, because we're a YouTuber, you're at the same level, but you're still a public figure. So with that, you have to look at, again, the idea of what is actual malice. Actual malice is a high legal standard. It's established in New York Times versus Sullivan, requiring public figures and officials to prove in defamation that a statement was published with knowledge of its falsity or with reckless disregard as to whether it was false. Now, what does this mean right here? Well, it means that they don't give a crap whether or not it's true. And you know, as far as free speech fundamentals, you can't just again go out and repeat things like it's not a. The Fats have been saying things recently like calling someone a PDF file, let's say, that is just an opinion. Oh no, it is not just an opinion. There are things out there, again, that you can do that the average person would understand that calling somebody would be so damaging that you don't even have to prove damages. With a lot of stuff, again, you have to prove damages. But like we saw with Fed 1, when they were talking about the signs and Jeremy Hale's being called a PDF file, they told you, the judge told you, with that, we don't even have to look at damages because that is so bad in of itself. So as far as Cynic in Chief talking about allegations, you know, items that, again, republication of bogus items. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter if you found something that was just online. What matters in that is that you were dumb enough to republish them. You were dumb enough to quote them. And on top of that, again, I wonder if it's I wonder also too, I wonder if we're talking about the mix-up with Just Jay. I wonder if that's also some kind of terrible, damaging stuff too. Because again, okay, so you could tell they had mixed me up with Just Jay for some of the statements that they made. You know. What a bunch of idiots. Here also, you want to understand how bad this is for her. So she makes these statements, and then I'll tell you how bad this is. She admits that she's never verified whether they're true or not. She said, "Oh, let's talk about Tug's relationship for a second. I don't know what happened there. Don't get me wrong. Well, you know a little more than I do. Didn't he tell you some young girl that he was counseling? It's rumors. I never checked. I don't have receipts, but someone told us that he's got the story." That he was like a therapist and he jumped and pounced on a young, vulnerable client, right? That's rumors. Rumors got her pregnant, kicked her out, or pregnant and kicked her, or something. Okay, right here, she states that, again, she makes it even worse. She's just like, hey, there's these rumors out there that I'm just going to throw out here like they're fact. I've been throwing around for 30 minutes that I haven't even bothered to see if they're true or not. What a crazy piece of shit. I mean, again, you have her lawyer setting on this live stream while they're discussing this. I mean, this is absolutely insane to put together. Like I said, the quickest thing, this moron could easily look into that. Again, the whole idea, the whole idea that they throw out there was as a therapist that, again, they actually pull this from, it was at first, these things are crazy to bring up. Again, I'm bringing this up too, because people doing this, they are really trying to do damage to you. So in order to make sure they don't, you have to talk about things like this. People be like, you don't have to. Oh, yeah, you do. You definitely do. And that's the intent for people morons like this. Why do you pick up something? And again, Leslie will be the first person to find out this is not how that goes. But who has put their name behind it? Well, Tori has, Lisa, and John Cook so far. All of those morons have decided to put their names to things that are easily disproven. Like I said, the oldest version of this, it was created by the Amber Heard Simps. Now, they had a posting board, and they created all kinds of just terrible freaking rumors about people. And as part of that, they created this rumor where I had been a guidance counselor, which I've never been a guidance counselor, by the way. I worked in outpatient mental health, and I did not work. I can't say I've never worked with a teenager, but most of the people that I've worked with, they are referred by the state. And when they're referred by the state, they have been in such horrible conditions. They've already been through horrible things. And they've taken this advocacy and they've tried to turn it into this awful thing. Not only that, but it's part of this. So they're not just aiming at myself. They're aiming at my now ex, and I'm careful in the way I say this stuff because she has gotten her life back on track. She's managed to have a good relationship with everybody, really. But she had, like many people have, she had an addiction issue. She had this after almost 20 years of marriage. It wasn't something that she had younger. It was something that, again, we met in college. We ended up getting married after a little bit. We were together for a long time. And then again, she had addiction issues, which I don't judge a person for because I've had addiction issues. I had them before my kids were born. I've never had kids with another person on, nor have I ever actually had any allegation of that either. And on top of that, when you're in mental health, they are very careful about anything that you do. What they do is they run background checks on you all the time. And on top of that as well, if anything came up, if any kind of rumor, innuendo, if any of that came up, you'd have a real problem. But we, for the place that I worked, I can mention this, by the way. This is kind of a funny thing. So back when, the first people that ever found where I worked at, they threw it out there and they started calling the place, right? And they started, they were attempting to get me fired from mental health. Now, this was back in, I think, 2019, I believe, 2019. This was with the anime mess. And when they called the place, they were told that I didn't work there. And technically, that was right. But here, I guess since I don't work there anymore, because I was in mental health until, not last year, but the year before, right at the end of it. I decided it's heavy. It weighs on you. Plus drama, man. There's always drama at workplaces. But when these people called, I did work for the same company. I just didn't work at that facility. And the facility they called, I used to be the director of, but I had already stepped up. I was actually in higher management. So when they started calling and trying to cause problems for the place, I told like I said, I was in upper management, and I directed the people that worked at that facility to tell them that I no longer work there because, again, I didn't work at the facility. But they harassed that workplace for 2 days, and then they would harass them on and on. But what's funny is they did find my job, but they were too dumb to push it. They were convinced that I didn't work there, and they were convinced that by myself. So the whole time from 2019 till what was that, 2024, I was still working at that place, and they knew where I worked. But they couldn't figure out how to go after it. I actually, with regard to mental health, like I said, since I don't work there anymore, I worked at pretty much one place that entire time. I worked when I went, like I said, they created the reason I mention this is because of the narrative. They wanted, again, the people who created these narratives, they don't understand how mental health works at all. They thought, they were like, oh, well, Tug was a guidance counselor and all this stuff happened. And then later on, marriage. No, actually, like I said, I was going to college, met my then not my wife at the time. We dated for a bit, ended up getting married. We were together for a long time. But after I graduated, I became after I decided I was not going to be a teacher, because God forbid, I wanted to get into mental health. I'd always found mental health to be interesting, but I started as a case manager, because I wanted to see how this stuff works from the ground floor. I didn't want to go into therapy at first. I took a job I could find right off the bat, and I wanted to see for a few months how all of this operates. I'd worked in a place where they treat, as a floor staff worker. I had worked with people that now you would say are intellectually disabled, but back then they had MR diagnosis, way back in the day. But I'd never worked as like a case manager or anything. So I worked there for a little while. And they were opening new facilities in another part of Tennessee. And they were like, hey, you want to take all of this over? So I did. I ran it for a bit. I ran the entire mental health place. Plus, I worked as a therapist there. That would put me in charge of multiple case managers. I can't remember now. It's been a minute. I can't remember if we had another therapist or if it was just me, because we just opened. The facility does get one later on, but they also have a couple of nurse practitioners. So I was in charge there. And then around, I can't remember what year, because all of this blurs together. But after a while, they started having problems with higher functions. Like in the state of Tennessee, they have a thing called MIPS, where you get Medicare dollars, and they couldn't figure out how to process all of that stuff. So I set up, I showed them how to do stuff like that. And from there, like I said, I went into upper management, where you could treat dozens of clients a month, or you could make sure that thousands of clients had treatment. But still, I would see kid clients sometimes, because a lot of these kid clients, they would come in and they would be so damaged. They'd be through so many terrible things that at the end of the day, you just, it's terrible to think what these people have been through, and it messes you up after a while. It really does. But, it made it difficult to look at your own kids, because you see how terrible the world is outside. But anyway, these people, when they're talking about all of this, man, what idiots. What absolute idiots to bring this stuff up. So, they actually said, as far as my name, they put my name in with Epstein. Like, no shit. They were like, he's probably on the Epstein files. I was like, you cannot be dumb enough to have said this stuff. But they did. Oh, they said all kinds of stuff. It was really stupid. So let's look through some of this. Some of it was aimed. So they start off again with the Megan Fox AI. It keeps saying, oh, I love big breadsticks. I don't tolerate little mushrooms. And so it's pretty gross what they're doing with it. And again, you can tell how bad that'll be. And from there, like I said, they don't decide that they want to note, just to tell you how long they let this stuff sit around with all of this. They decide that they're going to bring up all of this way up here, and on top of it, look, they actually confuse myself again with other people. They noted, well, look, we're dancing, we're doing this. Why? Because Tug thinks we have a horrible marriage, right? Well, what did he say? He said we lost that loving feeling. We look like we're not loving each other. And you think, wait, what? I've actually never commented on their marital relationship outside, again, the allegations that Leslie Federigo's has made. Like I said, I've talked about them in context with the allegations that they're making about Jeremy Hale. So obviously, this is confusing me with someone else. And I believe when they talk about speech and everything, they're like, yeah, he has a lisp, and I was like, they're talking about Just Jay. Damn it. They are talking about Just Jay, the little monster. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Her excuse, yeah. Well, the funny excuse with that, for her to say something like, well, the fat said it too, and you're not suing them. Yeah, Leslie would be the first, I mean, these people, they don't have anything. But since Leslie is already being sued, because Leslie is a vexatious litigant. Now, they don't tell you what a vexatious litigant actually means. They keep telling you wrong. They keep saying things like, Jeremy Hales is a vexatious litigant, and that is incorrect. Under Florida's law, a vexatious litigant is a pro se litigant, a person representing themselves in X amount of cases over X amount of time. That's Leslie. Leslie has gone in. She has opened up multiple lawsuits against multiple people, and including, again, her own spouse, only to drop them after the allegations come up. So, yeah, not not good, not smart. Also, under the Florida statute, that would make you a vexatious litigant. Now, why have someone labeled a vexatious litigant? So they'll stop suing people. Because, again, she has sued clients. She has sued people that have worked for her. She has sued the bar. She's gone after her own husband. She has gone after her own family members. I mean, it's insane when you look at that. And of course, when you mention this, people like her, they retaliate with false allegations. That's what false accusers do. Whether it's aimed at Jeremy Hales, it's aimed at myself, it's aimed at Megan Fox, whomever. And remember, along the way, too, a Shizzy Wiznut. Shizzy Wiznut was in their original litigation as well. Like I said, it's somebody, for some reason you don't know this, or even if you do, I think it's good to put it on record. In the original litigation, which you can see right here, you'll notice Shizzy Wiznut was labeled as part of that. Now, a Shizzy Wiznut, one of the things with him, they didn't know who he was at first. Well, she started talking about, she figured out who he was, and they were going to dox him. They kept dangling that carrot. They kept making threats about it. And when Shizzy Wiznut responded and was like, hey, you do that, I'm not going to control something. If something happens because of it, you put people in danger because of it, yeah, that's on you. They were like, oh my God, he's threatening me. Oh my God. And then they doxed it. And right away after they doxed, you had Bruce pick up on the doxing. You had Paint Chip pick up on it, and they did some pretty heinous stuff. Pretty freaking heinous stuff. So that's who this person is too. They used litigation that they did not pursue in order to dox as well. Just, I mean, you have to be a particular scumbag to do that. But going back to the transcript of this, by the way, if you enjoy the content and you would like to help out the channel, tell people we are live. Tell people that we are broadcasting early on a Sunday, which is typical. We go a little bit early on Sundays. That way we can work everything in. It does mess with our numbers, but it also is good. You know, it's also nice to be able to reach everybody in different time zones. Hale's actually broadcasts at the time zone that we typically utilize. So on Sundays, this allows me to hit other time zones, and we don't overlap people. I like that. I like not overlapping other content creators if I can, you know, and we cover a lot of these people. Right now, when we're talking about this, it is stuff that attaches to him, but it also, this is litigation that I myself am carrying. Also, on top of that, as I've noted too, we have not asked anybody for any help with litigation on this. If we ever do need help, then we'll note it. But right now, we're all good. So if you do want to help out with litigation, consider supporting something from Jeremy Hales. Like I said, if you want to support the channel and what we do, that's awesome. Enjoy that. But if you're like, oh man, you need litigation help, no, not at this time. If I ever do, I'll note that. But if you do want to help out with somebody's war chest, as it were, consider again helping out Hales. He has put quite a bit of money in taking on all of these morons. And that includes, again, what is that? For the only moron that isn't currently being sued that put these statements to it is Tory. So funny enough, poor Tory with it. So let's see. God, some of these but they start out again, you know, he's a therapist. Maybe he needs to marry a girl, you know. And they start the girl thing because, of course, that's what they want to go with. You know, they're going to bring in their allegations with it. They also said, so it's so funny because Tug wants to go on and like, oh my God, they don't look like, you know, they're a loving couple or a loving relationship. wait a minute. I don't recall saying that, you know, because we did talk about their... we did talk about the tape makeup stream, but that was a solo endeavor. In fact, like I said, the one thing that I have based any commentary on their relationship would be on the docket and what she has stated about their own relationship. And the things she has stated about their relationship, well, I mean, let's pull that up. Just to be honest, let's pull up her docket for this. We'll add that in here too. Give me a second. Is that right? Yes, that's right. So if you look at this again, she has put together. You can see the claims. Let's just say with Michael, she has claimed DV against him. You know. She's done it more than once. If you look on their docket here, she has claimed DV. And of course, they have kids. So it's DV with children, you know, because this is the kind of person, again, there's one of two things with that. You either believe her wholeheartedly. And if you do believe her, then the person that she is live streaming with is as a monster. Or she is a false accuser. Either way, that is a problem. But as far as their relationship is concerned, oh, I would have to watch content with them in their relationship. The one thing I did see with them is part of that cooking show, and that was kind of bizarre. But but you know, Michael and I have a fun relationship, right, Michael? We have a fun relationship, right, Michael? We're just quirky. We complain at each other. We do all of this, but I guess the umbrella's getting stuck somewhere up his, yeah. So then they go into, you know, but he's basically like, oh, they're not loving at all. And it's like, okay, what marriage is a freaking fit of utopia? Is Matthew married? Matthew Lewis. So they attach my real name to this. And then again, as a statement of fact, they put in, they don't just repeat some false allegation, which by itself, again, that doesn't protect you. If you say, oh, I read somewhere this thing, that doesn't protect you in litigation. Look it up. You know, look up how that works. A lot of people, you know, the Thats, again, they have been going with that quite a bit. They think with Hales, they've been protected with that. They think that they can just say, like, if Leslie Federico says something, then they can pick it up. Like, that's what they've been doing with the terrible claims that she made toward him, and also with the whole mushroom thing, where they've decided to spend well over a dozen hours with mushroom avatars. You know, because they're talking about, again, his male parts. And most people would understand that's a problem if you were to reverse that situation. If a person came out with avatars dressed up like female parts and they started making a commentary about it, people would be mortified. And absolutely understandably so. That would be beyond the pale. You know, you're not laughing at a person anymore. You're trying to sexually humiliate them. And that would be potentially criminal, let's say. Give me 1 second. A person, repeat, defamation, get in trouble. Give me a second. I'm pulling something up for you. So, as far as the legal consequences, though, of going in and repeating defamatory items, not caring whether or not they're true, you should look up. Not listening to, again, I will not listen to a quote unquote lawyer that they ended up being forced to retire. I also am not going to listen to lawyers that they get into a 50-page rebuttal and rebuking because they end up using AI as part of their defense strategies. But they noted, again, all this stuff with these claims through here. You can see that, you know, while telling people, oh man, yeah, coming in here, they were like, oh, you know, he married a client. Oh, she, I guess it's supposed to say, was younger than him. Well, we heard about that. That's sick. A client, he was a therapist for a younger underage client. Oh my God, that's what we heard. Well, like I said, what idiots? Why would you attach your name to that? Because you're an idiot. You are an absolute freaking idiot. Now, this stuff, let's do a little bit more. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up the searches on this too, because I don't want to jump through the whole freaking thing and roll it. You know, she's such a great commentator too. She's like, you know what? Why are they obsessed with buttholes, by the way? Have you noticed all of them are obsessed with disgusting stuff, poop or buttholes? Have you noticed that? All of them? They're like, oh my God, I call Tug a butthole man because Umbrella looks like a butthole. It's like, well, gross. In between talking about Richard Luthman, by the way. I was like, well, that seems to fit. Check this out. What is up with them and their obsession, though, with like butts and poop and oh, it's so gross. But they're like, oh, I call him the tug butthole man. Whoa, so creative. Oh, it's so... my God. Again, while being like, I don't know which is funnier, that or Richard Luthman. He's got a really great response. Oh my God, they were talking about how good of a lawyer he is, and they had to walk it back. Let me find it. It was pretty funny. They're like, yeah, he's really good with filings and in the law. Maybe it was in their last live stream before this one. I get them confused with looking at the transcripts, but they were like, yeah, he writes a good document. He's such a good lawyer. Well, he used to be, he's not practicing law right now, by the way. It was so funny. It's weird too to go from these people. They talk about how everything's good and gravy. They don't do anything bad. But by the way, while they're discussing it, here it is. Check this out. And then we only see Rich Luthman's really good response there. He's basically disproves Jeremy won jack shit. I'm just saying, just for those that are just coming on because they're not going to understand. Luthman is a very good motion writer. He's an amazing attorney. He's an amazing motion. Wait. He's not an attorney right now, but that doesn't stop him. This guy's brilliant. They have all adopted this stance where they're like, he may get a pardon. I'm like, that's not going to happen. That absolutely is not going to happen. It wasn't just that. There were so many other things that came up. This dude, what really kills me too? These people, they're supposed to be out there as guardianship advocates, right? And yet a dude that used a blind man as the face of an international scam, so he would be the fall guy or the patsy for it. They go out here and they simp for that dude. A dude that was approached because a guardianship was supposedly taking advantage of this dude, and he needed a lawyer. But instead of getting a lawyer, he ended up getting roped into that. And they get out here and they simp for all of that. Like, that's wild to me. But I digress. What do I know, right? What do I know? They also, it was interesting too, because they were like, just so you guys know, Michael and I are actually in the kitchen for the first time together, because normally we fight all the time in the kitchen. That was a real fight. So when they were live streaming together, there were a lot of people that were talking about how their kitchen stream looked really combative. But by the way, Michael, why do you have a black eye? I'm curious. I'm not saying why. Again, I am not asserting why. I'm just curious. Why do you have a black eye? Because it very well looks like you do. People keep talking about all the makeup he wears, and it's like, yeah. Have you zoomed in on some of those? Maybe there's a reason why, because it very much looks like the man has a black eye. When Jay is co-hosting, that must be confusing to them. Yeah, let's do it right, Michael. Yeah, I mean, it's like, parrot for me, Michael. Parrot for me now. It's such, like I said, it's very bizarre. to listen to them together. God, what a bunch of weirdos. Hey, Angela Klein, by the way, I appreciate that. Sent 25 for the book stuff. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to throw this in here randomly. So I wanted to see the movie Nuremberg. You know, I mentioned it with Russell Crowe. You know, with Fat Russell Crowe. You know, he was playing a Yahtzee leader. If you don't know the Yahtzee leaders, you know, there was a really fat one, and he played them, and he did a good job in it. I was kind of shocked by that. Well, I wasn't shocked he did a good job. I was just shocked to see him play a Yahtzee, let's say. But anyway, our fights are real in the kitchen, and we're going to be in the kitchen again this week. What in the world, man? Oh, we fight. That's... That is bizarre, you know. Oh yes, we like to fight. By the way, I stream us combating in the kitchen. That is not healthy. That is not actually healthy, you know. But we do fight. That's what makes our marriage great. And no, again, you know, there's a conflicting message being sent here. By the way, you accuse this man of terrible things in the court. You said that you made songs about it and put them out into the world, accusing this man, again, to everyone, saying that he was some type of a monster. And yet, you're like, oh yeah, we fight all the time. That's gross. It's actually quite gross. But this is funny. Like, I was like, wait a minute. You know, with Tug. Oh, Terrence says, I can't stand the way Tug talks. It drives me insane. Back in the day? What? What does that mean? How does it drive you insane back in the day? What do you think about how Tug, the way he talks to Michael? Michael, what do you think, right, Michael? You hate him, right, Michael? In the middle of this, they're like, oh my God, Jeremy's here. Oh my God, Jeremy. Oh, hi, Jeremy. Oh my God, Jeremy. Get the freak out of our life, Jeremy. He goes under these women accounts. He's like, yeah, he's under all these different names and tries to attack us. This is how nutty these people are. They're like, oh my God, there's a woman here, and this woman, she said something that we didn't like. Oh my God, it's got to be Jeremy Hales. What? What in the world, man? What a bunch of nut jobs. Like I said, too, for these allegations here that they made, I have already talked to my attorney about it. We will be amending our complaint. I will be including that. So this will give me, this is two-pronged, actually. Number one, it allows me to answer those, and to answer those in a court case. And number two, when Leslie ends up losing this shit, and she will. Oh, I mean, again, the stuff that they have stacked up for her alone is bad. But like I said, as an officer of the court, to have Michael sitting on this live stream while these allegations are made is crazy. It blows my mind to think that, again, as the lawyer for that, I mean, that is just nuts. I do wonder, by the way, Susan Davis, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I do wonder, considering the fact that they have gone through these divorce proceedings, there have been allegations that were made by her against him in the past, some pretty heinous ones too. I wonder if he could actually represent her, because with representation, you know, you're supposed to be, oh my God. You want to hear something random? This is very random, but weird. So, you know, Cameo, where you can get like an actor or an actress to like send messages to people or whatever. I keep getting messages from Cameo, but for some reason they keep sending me. I don't know if you know who the Island Boys are. You know, that group of those two idiots. They were like, "We're the Island Boys." You know, that terrible song that they did. They tried to be Jamaican. These two white-looking kids. It keeps sending me notifications about them. And I'm like, why are you sending me notifications about these idiots? They have dropped their Cameo appearance to $15. And I'm like, well, that's $15 too much. Why are you telling me this? It's just funny. To note, though, if you are a fan of Lost or Supernatural, Mark... what is his name? Pellegrini? Is that how you pronounce it? The guy who plays Jacob on Lost. And also he plays Lucifer as well. Pellegrino. That's right. I said Pellegrini. Pellegrino. Mark Pellegrino. $20. You can send like I noticed I got a birthday wish from him as Jacob from Lost, and that was really funny. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I thought it was good, but he has $20 right now, so I know that's random. It's still anyway. Back to this. Jeremy Hales, get out of my live stream. Why are you pretending to be these women? That's very bizarre. You talk about crazy. I mean, again, they think that any person that remotely challenges any of their behavior and notes how crazy these people are acting, somehow in some way, that's Jeremy Hales. God, they continue. So let's continue on. A minute here. Then they continue. They were like, everybody's talking about Tugs talking. This is so fun. Like, Tug sounds like a moron. Talking about Tugs. Okay. Do you guys know it's like, I would love to listen to Tug and Megan just so I could debunk them, but it's so hard to listen because of their voices. It's hard. It's totally difficult. He's like a Beavis and Butthead. I can't even do a good Beavis, man. Yeah, Butthead. What a moron. What an idiot. Do we even know what he looks like with a picture? Yes, it's out there, you morons. It's very easy to find out. Look, they haven't even done the research. They will they'll repeat some awful fucking malicious item that is meant, again, as a life ruination tactic. But they're like, I don't even know what this person looks like. What an idiot there. But what's funny is, again, I enjoy the whole hey, Michael, what do you think about this, Michael? You need to get in on this, Michael. You've got to talk smack, Michael. And while they're doing all this stuff, it's well, you know what, Jeremy Hales. He has bots. Oh my God. It's terrible. I look like a geek. Oh no, a geek. What a terrible thing. Again, my channel, by the way, if you don't know this for some reason, my channel was started talking about comic books. That's right. Media. I was talking about the collapse of something that I've enjoyed for all of my life, and how the lack of professionalism in that, you have quality dropping, the lack of professionalism rising, and how companies like Disney and Warner Brothers, they're ruining these things. Then I run into false allegations because during the Me Too movement, all you had to do was accuse a person. And there, every day in that specific forum, you would have at least one allegation. Just like what we're covering now, you would have at least one allegation against somebody. Somebody would try to ruin another person's life every single freaking day. And that's what got me interested in. Ultimately, a case came along. I thought it was interesting to check out how allegations, they arise. And it's strange because one of the things that really got me interested in this stuff is false accusers. Like a Leslie, for example. They tell you that in the court of law, you have to have due process. But here in the public, they just throw around any accusation they want. Just like, again, she throws them out against whomever she wants. And the accusation is the substantiation. You know, it's not proof. Proof is not required. It's only the allegation. So I found that really interesting. That's what got me into covering that stuff. But saying you're a geek, oh no. Is that supposed to be an insult these days? See, these people, they give away their disdain for folks. They absolutely give away their disdain. They tell you they hate people that, again, have acts like myself. They talk about accents. Even though, again, they supposedly picked up on this story because Michelle Preston, who, you know, if you look at where they're living when they talk about Otter Creek, yeah, a lot of those people are going to have accents like myself. Not exactly like it because they're from Florida, but they're going to have similar accents because, again, they come from the American South. But apparently, they hate people that again, they want to call, oh my God, you're a geek. Hey man, I wear that flag proudly, by the way. Whoa. You know what's funny is it tells you all you need to know about the people you're dealing with. Because they think they're better than other folks. That reminds me, they harken back to these were the mean kids back in the old college days or high school days. You know, they probably clicked up back in all of that. They treated other people like shit, you know, based on popularity and more. Yeah. Now for myself, I've always been able to I get along with people pretty well. So, you know, I maintain some popularity with it. But as far as a gig, yeah, I love what I get into. But yeah, you guys know he's getting paid by Jeremy. Now, again, these kind of statements too, without any kind of proof whatsoever, they have just adopted these stances. And they try to make this work out for their narrative. Like I said, we're suing them. So it's going to be interesting. They will have plenty of chance to ask about that. They can totally ask like where money comes from. My money, by the way, it comes from either ad revenue or it comes from folks like you that support the channel. And by the way, if you would like to support the channel, well, there are many ways to do so. Again, it's breadstick money, however you want to. So with these idiots, I should make a comic about Lynette and Lips. Actually, I'm going to finish up Chicken Skin for the Soul. I am. You know, it's funny because they brought up Chicken Skin for the Soul. They actually started talking about it, but they also brought up chicken skins. They made it a thumbnail. So once they brought up chicken skins overtly, it made the thing all the funnier. It's like, man, they're actually shouting that out. But he has bots. Don't you guys understand bots? They literally pay for views on their lives. Right, Michael? Right, Michael? Right, Michael? Right, Michael? Oh my God. Look how scatterbrained this stuff is. Like just read this as it goes along. Okay. Listen, this is how the live stream. Oh, we're talking about and I'll check out this jar. Right now, seriously, look on the bottom. See the email. You'll send us your recipe. We'll make your recipe this coming week. We're making Greek spinach pie, but the next week we'll make your dish. We absolutely will. He does look like a geek. He does. Look how this just all runs into just some mush train of thought. But you guys know, getting paid, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, I'm excited. Look at these. Oh God, I love these boots. These boots are made for walking. Oh, I think they're so super cute, And by the way, Megan, right, Michael? Right, Michael? Oh my God, I'm going to make an avatar with a shirt that says "Right, Michael." I need one real quick. Let me make me an avatar. I've got to make one real quick. Just give me a second. Oh my God. Let's see. Take the avatar. No, whoops, wait 1 second. Take the figure in this picture and hold on. Give him a shirt that reads, "Right, Michael." And there we go. I need to fix that. I'm missing something in my broadcast here, I know. Really? Exactly. Wait a minute. The occasional Flashcast guest is a geek? I know. Who would have ever thought that? The guy who has created 3 comic books and well, I guess if you count the ash cans, that would be 5 comic books now. The guy that has probably, I don't know, at least 1,000 hardcover freaking anime, or rather manga and comic forms, not including all the singles around the home. But a geek, who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought? I love it. Let me play Megan one more time because Megan's too funny. So look, while they're doing all of this during their live stream, they keep firing up this fake Megan with, again, trying to fillet a breadstick and a mushroom. And like I said, the problem with that, how dumb it is because this person is already, she named it, again, with any confusion about that too. She named this Megan Fox, and she refers to it over and over again as Megan Fox. So if you look at it and you're like, well, I don't know if that looks right like her. Well, it doesn't matter. She identified. She uses it multiple times in all of her streams too. She used it as the beginning. She attached. Well, I shouldn't say she attached. Michael also attached his name to it too. You can see it on their main channel. Even if they take it down, it's there. But you can see down here toward the bottom, Megan Melissa Fox loves her breadsticks. And again, this is on the same channel that all you have to do is flip over to shorts, and you'll find over and over and over and over again them talking about Hale and mushrooms. And what's really gross about that too is that she recounts this awful false narrative about Hale. See, the reason I feel confident in saying that her narrative is false is because from go, when Hale's recorded that video with him driving, George is in the vehicle, Leslie has been responding. She's reaching out to him. She's trying to sell out the fats. When all of that is going on, he told myself, Megan Fox. After he told his lawyer, he told us this was going on because we are in a lawsuit with her. He was like, hey, this person is reaching out. They're doing all of this stuff. This is strange. I'm going to see if they'll, if there's any information that they'll end up giving me that's useful. But we knew about that from go. So as far as her putting this stuff together, he absolutely knew that, I mean, you can't say 100% certain that she was going to do some crazy false accusatory BS. But I mean, how else do you think that's going to play? I mean, look at who we're dealing with. Look at their past. Look at what they've done to multiple people now. So yeah, of course. They accuse people quite a bit. They have now, in some way, shape, or form, by picking up narratives or whatever, they've, like I said, they accused their own husband. And it'd be interesting to know. I would love to know, by the way, how they've tried to say that the reason that they filed for divorce was as a placeholder for their home, to keep it out of any proceedings, which, okay, you could have done that, though, by claiming irreconcilable differences. You don't actually have to accuse somebody of something really heinous, So to me, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They encourage people never to look at the docket either. Don't ever look at the docket and find out what's there. But you can see, again, throwing in the fake, it says, it's so funny. She loves big breadsticks and doesn't tolerate little mushrooms. I'm so funny. Did you hear how funny I am? Right, Michael? Right, Michael? I'm really funny, Michael. You do know that, right, Michael? Oh, there it is. Oh, good. Hey, I like that. Let me put up a new avatar, by the way. We need one for this stream. Give me 1 second. I need that. By the way, 2,000 of you today. I'm shocked. I didn't put up my stream correctly. Again, one of the reasons I feel like you have to talk about some of these allegations. These people, again, they get into items where they try to be life ruinous. And I will also make sure, as part of litigation, that I note that I had to bring up this stuff, and again, her lawyer should know that this is not smart, right, Michael? right, Michael? right, Michael? Anyway, let me get back to this. I love it. I think I'm gonna sell a shirt that says "Right, Michael." I love it. Oh, by the way, thank you for those. Something to bark about. I just saw those fall in. That's beautiful. Thank you, my friend. Okay, so from there, well, they're still on. We hate the way Tug talks. We totally hate it. It's so bad. What in the world? Like, they're ridiculous. You forgot the mole on her face. Oh my God. I should have put the mole on her face. Oh, I needed that. Where's Lisa? Oh God, Lisa, can you see me, Lisa? I'm so funny, Lisa. Oh, it's amazing. It's so amazing. Oh, what an idiot. What an absolute idiot. But we might fight. Does that mean we don't love each other? It's like a passive aggressive. Again, you accused him of DV. That's not fighting. That's not. Oh my God, man. That is not some kind of we have a little conflict in our relationship. That is some of the worst allegations. And that she noted in a freaking song she put together, she was like, "You spit in my face in front of the kids," and all this crazy shit with allegations there. So it's not just, we bicker and we argue. if that's the case and you accuse somebody of things like that, you called the police on him. You said that he cuts off your internet because you're crazy. You know? I mean, how many police calls have we seen with that residence? It's loony, you know? And it's like passive because Tug's like, they're not very loving. Again, I think they've accused, you know, I think they got me confused with Jay. I really do. I think that's what that is. Look at this, though. It's like I Tug, like, you're not cutting that garlic right. You're not cutting that garlic right. Tug's like, look how weird this is. We bicker and we fight, you know, and Tug's like, they're not well, you're not cutting that garlic right. You're not cutting that garlic right. You know, and back to Tug. Tug's like, you aren't like happily married. Oh, really? Because we argue. I always hate this too. Like any other married couple, like any Greek Italian, you know, your heritage is not an excuse for you to mistreat other people. I hate these excuses. Well, you know, we're Greek or we're Italian. Here we know. That doesn't, oh, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. It happens because, you know, blah, blah, blah. People are hot-blooded. You know, there's a million excuses for mistreating another person. At the end of the day, that's just an excuse. I mean, it's so bizarre. Oh, so weird. Now they've invited me to comment, I guess, on their relationship because, but we fight a lot. We fight a lot. That descriptor right there is not good. Again, you know, so like we, you know, we make up, but GD it, we do fight. We're not going to lie about that. Right, Michael? Right? Right, Michael? Right, Michael? Holy God, how is this real? It's like calling for your poodle. Come on, Michael. Sit, Michael. Sit. Lisa, give Leslie your meatball recipe. Me and Michael will cook it. Oh yeah, we're great. Oh, and by the way, you know, Tug should talk. He knows all about happy marriages. You know, talk about Tug's relationship for a second. I don't know. So again, we're 29 minutes in. All right, they make the first commentary about this, spreading this at 2 minutes. So for 27 minutes. They let this, again, as factual, they let all of this, they let these allegations that they've thrown out about me, they don't even note, hey, some of this stuff, is it right? We don't know. We didn't even look into it. We have no idea. We didn't care. Again, that is the epitome of of defamation. We don't care what the truth is. You know, when somebody tells you that, I mean, when they're going through and they bring out all this stuff, they can bring up anything, but they don't, like I said, they don't care. They don't care what it is at all. They're like, oh, you know, these are quote unquote rumors, you know. And again, you have to remember that these type of allegations are created by people just like the antis. They are. Any asshole that doesn't like you, what Leslie has talked about with SEO, this is the exact same thing I'm talking about that they're trying to do to Jeremy Hales. They hope on a long enough timeline that they can create an allegation that in the future, people can just bring up and can be detrimental to his reputation that he'll have to defend against. And they've taken the allegations from he's a terrible person or this or that to they have accused him of the worst things possible. Remember, they had already accused him of some pretty heinous things when it came to his prior relationships. You know, they've gone after him. They've gone after, again, they went after his ex, they went after his kids, but it wasn't enough. In order to grow a channel, they've accused him of SA. They've tried to, and they have talked about how they want to profit. And when they do that, they want to run ads that also defame Jeremy Hale's too. With this, you know what's crazy with this too? Like I said, my ex, is weird to say that. My ex, she's gotten her life back together, you know. Again, she had a period of time. I want to be careful when I say this, and not because, you know, there were some horrible things that happened during that time, absolutely horrendous things, and there are things that I don't talk about publicly, not because I can't, but because first of all, you know, you guys, you're not my therapy session. If I need a therapist, I'll go get a therapist. But on top of that, these people, they adopt a victim narrative. You know, in life, again, people go through horrible things, and people succumb to addiction, all types of horrible items, and alcohol especially is a terrible one. You know, if you look at the way that people, at the way it hijacks people's lives, it's awful. You know, and people do terrible things to other people during that. But and it was sad to watch somebody that I cared about become another person. You know, and not really another person. They lost all sense of self because of that. And it went on a while, and it was not good. But when all of that happened, it took that reality check and basically losing everything. Sometimes people don't come back from that like that far. And for credit there, you know, again, she went to rehab. She had issues. She went to rehab again, you know, because, I mean, addiction's rough. And, you know, she's gotten her life back together. She's maintaining good relationships with everyone, proper relationships, back to who, you know, before. But, you know, these people, what they try to do with this stuff is they try to derail people. There have been attempts to contact, I can't say from these specific people, but I know she's not even online these days. You know, she is like an account out there, if you may pop up, but as far as online, like keeping up with the stupid and this crazy, no, she's not involving in that. But some of these people have reached out and tried to pull her into things. You know, they tried it at first, and they do that, trying to, again, throw things like terrible things into someone's face, cause them problems, you know, and again, cause them to relapse potentially. It's nasty. They are nasty pieces of work. And it's not something like I didn't choose. Here's the thing, and I will note this in court. I did not choose to talk about this on my own. In these kind of situations, when people try to ruin your life with false allegations, you have to talk about them sometimes. And these allegations are so heinous that, of course, they are allegations. Like typically, you know, somebody calls you something stupid, who cares? But when they start putting out an allegation again that, you know, like I said, as a mental health professional, I worked with a lot of kids, and they were in a horrible disarray in their life. They're broken people. And for them to take that kind of advocacy and try to do something like this with it, it's awful. It's absolutely awful. And then it's disparaging to the, you know, it's defaming rather to the person they're aiming at, not just me, but to her as well. because the claim in there was that she was some kind of former client, and this, so she's all the kind of clients I was seeing later on, not during that time. Like I said, I wasn't a therapist then, but later on were pretty bad shape. You know, if they're related into the into this because of the court systems. When I say that too, I'm not saying they're perpetrators. Let me make that clear. We're talking about people like, you know, like CPS might bring in, you know, broken kids that are broken in ways that I some of that stuff. I did that for a long time, and it really fucked me up inside. It did. It got to the point where I couldn't deal with it anymore. I mean, it does. It messes you up really bad inside, you know, because you see the worst things that other people can do to somebody, but they're kids. I'd sit across a table from little kids telling me the most awful things. I remember one of my first, I'm not going to tell you what they talked about, but I sat across the table, one of my first instances with a kid. It was this little bitty boy. You know, those giant Coke bottle glasses, you know, those little cute kids, you know, very cute kid. And he wouldn't open up to me at first. You know, I finally got him to open up because of games and other stuff. And I finally found some mutual ground. And after he opened up, he told me stuff that it broke pieces of me. I felt like, and that's not to say anything about myself. I'm just saying you can't even imagine it. And you know, that's not about you either, you know, in that moment, you know, it tells you how bad these situations are these kids went through. But for them to target children, because that's what they're doing, they're making, because they don't like me, well, fuck them, I don't care if they like me or not. But for them to target kids that went through that, you know, and them also again to conflate what those people had been through to again with the person that I spent almost 2 decades with is absolute insanity too. It's just craziness. But you know, you have no idea how bad the world can be until you talk to kids who have been damaged by it. And you know, every now and then you could put some kid back together again, and that felt good. But my God, man, you know, after about 10 years of that stuff, it just, like I said, it just breaks all kinds of things in you. It took me years here before I could talk about cases that involve kids. I used to never even be able to talk about them. It would emotionally. You know, I experienced symptoms of secondhand trauma because of it. You know, again, that's not to make any of that about me. I'm just saying I couldn't even talk about it because it fucks you up inside. It breaks pieces of you. But for them to take that and for them to make you recount part of that too, I actually don't like talking about any of that at all because it's bad stuff because you know, like I said, I'm leaving out the stories in there, and oh my God, some of that stuff. But for them to, again, they finally, after 29 minutes, almost 30 minutes here, they're like, we'll talk about Tug's relationship for a second. I don't know what happened there. I don't, well, you know, a little more than I do. Didn't he take some young girl that he was counseling? You know, it's rumors. You know, they're back and forth. You know, I never checked it. I don't have receipts. Again, no. What they did is they took some anonymous poster and they just run with crazy shit. You know, that's all it takes these days, especially. It's absolutely all it takes, and people know that. You know, this is what you know, could you imagine if any of these people would have this stuff posted about them? And remember, with the ecosystem, what amazes me is with the ecosystem, you're supposed to ignore actual evidence of crime, like real crime. When these people have been arrested, that's not real. When they get in trouble, that's not real. But hey, I saw this thing online. And like I said, we will be revising and amending our complaint to include this stuff, because I've waited for some jackass to screw up and put it on their name. You know, and again, they're not the only ones. You know, John Cook. It'd be real interesting. I told Jeremy Hales that I would happily testify about someone like John Cook, because John Cook, he says that he does not accuse people of terrible things. That's not their go-to, but that's what he did with this situation. You know, that's the kind of people they are. But they're like, I don't have receipts, but someone told us that he's got, you know the story, that he was like a therapist and that he jumped and pounced on a young, vulnerable client. Right? That's rumors. Now, again, you can't just take rumors, take something random that some jackass says and run with it and pretend that protects you. That does not protect you. Just because someone says something and you repeat it, that does not protect you in any way. And they have the ability, again, to look into any of this. If any of this were true, do you think that if any of this were true, that I would not have a police record? You know, do you think that you could take some young client, do all of this stuff and not be arrested? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. But all they would have had to do, like I said, with their story is look at, in the state of Tennessee, in order to practice therapy, you have to have a master's degree, and then you can start working under someone, you know, under their license. You can work toward a licensure, or, I mean, you don't even have to work toward a licensure. You can just work under them forever if you want to. But that's the track for it. So in order to practice any type of therapy at all, you would have to graduate college. So if you were married before college, that would seem to debunk this issue. But no. But they're like, oh, that he got her pregnant and kicked her out. And they got her pregnant and kicked her out. He could, you know, guys, you know more than us probably. And anyways, that's really, I don't want to, you got to make, Lisa says right. Okay, so Lisa, again, her dumbass, her absolute moron dumbass threw her name on it too. They're like, hold on, did anyone see his boss lovingly act like this? No. Bad rumors on the internet about it. He groomed her, and when she was legal age, he married her. That's sick, actually. If that's the truth, that's sick. If that's the truth. If that's the truth. What a piece of shit. What absolute pieces of shit. Like I said, they create that. Again, these are attempts to damage somebody. They've already done this to Hales. And Hales had to just, they expect him to eat shit over it, you know? They expect Hales to sit out there. That, like I said, they accused him. She starts writing him. She starts writing him like these heavily suggestive letters, and there are apparently videos I've, again, not seen, nor do I ever want to see, but she's apparently sending him all kinds of things. She doesn't get her way, and right away, she's accused him of something horrible, something terrible. But that's, like I said, that's the way that they operate. And they have, of course, for Hales, it's even worse. Like, again, he operates on his name. Like for me, I cover false allegations, and through false allegations, I'm not surprised you get falsely accused of something. That happens. What do false accusers do? They falsely accuse you of shit, of course. You know, that's going to happen. But for Hales, before anti-Hales, Hales was just a normie out there. Again, you know, what I mean by that is this. Hale's just operating a business. He's just trucking along. He's operating his storage unit business. He's, you know, he's doing claw machine stuff. Every now and then, you know, there'll be disagreements in that. But by and large, like I said, he's just a normie, just trucking along. He gets big enough, though, and he attracts these people that if he doesn't give them what they want, they will ruin his life. They demand things from him. He sues, and during lawsuit, they just amped it up. And of course, you know, there's this expectation that Jeremy Hales would just lay down and take it. And he didn't. And he shouldn't. You know? I mean, again, I don't know how to make this any clearer. Jeremy Hales is a victim in this story. You know, in this crazy story, though, again, with all the, if I were a female and the things I happened that I told you about there would be that, you know, that would be, if people would be comfortably being like, oh, well, you're the victim of something, you know, but as a man, yeah, you get these crazy fucked up stories that go along with it. As far as kids too, they're like, oh my God, you know, was it that guy? Oh, Michael, come on. I don't know. Hopefully he's bringing up his kid, right? I don't have any, I don't hear anything bad, the way he brings up his kids, but he shouldn't talk about other people. Exactly. Talking about Michael and I, we bicker. Again, they have confused me with someone else because they're pieces of shit. But they fight publicly. You know, I mean, let's just be real about that. They fight publicly with that. You shouldn't be talking about us, you know? Oh, yeah. Because if people talk about you, then, well, oh, man. Miss Lee says he has to pull G close to him. He's probably on the Epstein files. Yeah, I don't think you can afford Epstein files girls. Again, they also have brought in, like I said, they bring in your kids. So they try to attach that to my kids, which I have 2 of. I have, my kids live with me, you know, and again, when I bring the stuff up, I bring it up carefully because like I said, I don't want to look back and take away from somebody. Again, you know, all of the recovery and all of that other stuff, you know, she's done quite a bit to, again, not just get her life right, but to reconcile with everyone that has had problems in the past. And that is a difficult road, man. It is difficult. And these are the type of people that derail that, you know? These are. And again, they've led to people trying to contact. What a bunch of weirdos. I mean, what a bunch of creepy weirdos, you know? Then they bring up, oh, you know, not going for the those are some young models. Tug is definitely not getting those young models. I'm definitely not getting those girls. Isn't he a comic book boy or something? Oh yeah, he's a comic book boy. Oh my God. Oh, a comic book boy. Oh God, not a comic book boy. Like I said, you see like these just detestable pieces of shit. They tell you who they are. They tell you that, you know, if you enjoy, I'm very comfortable in who I am, by the way. I like what I like. And I've liked what I've liked forever. I have worked at, in fact, we used comic books for therapy. You know, comic books work really well. In fact, one of the things you'd notice with therapy that was fascinating, but also very sad, was that oftentimes a child, when they would look at like a comic book, the roles, they would have role reversal. They would hear so many negative things about themselves that they would actually identify with the villain. Not because the villain is cool, or I mean, villains can be written well, they're fun to read, right? But a lot of little kids, they wouldn't identify with the hero. They would identify with a villain. because they had had people tell them throughout all their lives these terrible things. So you could use comic books as a way to, to try to adjust and center people's understanding. Their roles. You could use them for all kinds of stuff. And I mean, it's amazing. Again, they've become billion-dollar industries, but it just shows you again the old school. This is a certain age demographic. These people that are still trying, they chase their youth forever. They get to, again, what is she, like 40, 50? And again, that's not a shot at anyone. I'm just saying she's chasing her youth. She wants to be 20. And in doing that, it's just so weird. But he does use them for breadsticks. Oh my God. Lisa, by the way, did you see the videos with Megan breadsticks? Oh, did you see them? Oh my God. Oh my God. The breadsticks. Oh, yeah. Did you see the video where an officer of the court sets on a live stream with the channel that he has, having the person that is suing them filleting breadsticks and mushrooms? Yeah, good job there. Smart move. Very smart move. And again, I like how Lisa, by the way, being the dumb piece of garbage that she is too, I like how she becomes this common identifier where she's obviously part of that. Lisa has also stated this stuff as fact multiple times by now. So, like I said, you just watch what happens to Leslie, and then we'll see how we carry that forward. Because again, there are certain claims out there. Like I said, it doesn't matter where you pick something up. It doesn't matter if you're like, I read this random thing online. That doesn't save you. It doesn't save you at all. It's so funny. They don't even see that they're not smart enough. And allegedly would not save you either. Allegedly, that doesn't matter either. But they're not even smart enough to throw that in there. Like I said, already revising for one of them. But John Cook, like I said, it'll be real interesting. It would play very well with a court to note that John Cook, his first go-to is like, accuse you of something terrible. Remember, again, they don't don't accuse people of being PDF filed, and they would never put up signs about a person. It's like they defeat their own talking points. When they go after Hales and they say, we do this or we do that, they defeat all of that. And again, they go after Megan. Look, this woman that's, by the way, taping her neck. She's like, I'm telling you how to feel young again. I'm telling you about face tape and stuff. Megan could use some tape with her neck. She's got a turkey gobbler neck. And I'm like, lady, have you looked at yourself? You're using tape to hold your face together. Like, again, what a weirdo. What an absolute weirdo. You would think at a certain point you wouldn't criticize how other people look. Again, when you start having to tape your face in place, when you start doing it, you're telling people how to spackle their nose back on. You would think that at a certain point that maybe, just maybe, you'd be like, I'm not going to make fun of people, but, what a weirdo. Now, look, they return back and they're like, oh, so, but says that he actually got her pregnant, divorced her, and took her kid away and got custody. Oh my God. And then back to face tape. Again, what? Like I said, all of these statements, I made sure to get this video so it doesn't disappear. Because again, what a bunch of morons. It's just, it's so, what's really fascinating to me as well is how people create a false narrative and then promote it as if it's a real narrative, you know? But they never, like I said, the people, the Hurdies were much smarter than these people because they never attached their real names to this craziness. They weren't that stupid, you know? They were never that dumb. Got it. Back to Megan. Oh my God. We're the same age, by the way. Oh, Megan and I are the same age. She wants to make fun of me for face tape. You put that shit online. You put a how to. First of all, you accuse Megan of supporting child essay. Again, you notice this common theme. She accused her father of terrible items. She accused Hales of terrible items. She accused Megan, since she can't accuse her of doing it, she accuses her of supporting it. So if you can attach that to the name, she has tried. Again, she's trying to attach that to my name. You notice this common theme. Anybody that remotely stands up to these people, that's what they get attached to. You know. See, the crazy thing too, if I operated like these people do, I mean, I'm not dumb enough though to make a claim like that about someone. But they should be lucky that the people, they talk about how everyone else out there is awful and terrible. You know, if other people operated like they did, if people started spreading rumors that they were these type of offenders, that they had done these terrible things. And again, they don't just, you know, with this, like I said, I'll make sure to bring this stuff up to a court because, first of all, it doesn't just bring up myself and it doesn't just bring up my eggs. It also brings in my kids. You know, they've brought my kids into that too. And again, that is potentially detrimental. It's definitely defamation for all three. So fun times with that, right? I mean, amidst oh my God, turkey necks, you know, and again, you see Lisa's right there. What a dumbass. I mean, what a dumbass. But they have been emboldened because they've gotten away with so much. They figure they can't have problems. I mean, you look at the Fats. The Fats have walked away with $100,000 fucking dollars. You have a donor, a $56,000 donor that sit online, but for some reason will not write that police report. They've been able to insert themselves into pretty much every facet of Jeremy Hale's life. They figure at the end of the day, like I said, they can get away with anything. And that has made them ultimately become very sloppy in what they say and do. I thought it was funny because when they started threatening to put this stuff out, you know, I thought, man, will they be done? See, they avoided it for a while. Tori was the first one, like I said, to be stupid enough to put their name to this kind of shit. And I thought that's interesting. First of all, they don't have anything, but it's still interesting to think, you know, you can take something future-wise from them. Again, I plan on taking something from fucking Leslie for it. I will get something. I just straight up, I will definitely get something from her. I don't care if they have nothing. I don't care if I have to snatch the fucking weave off of her head and wear it around like a fucking trophy. If I have to rubber band that thing to my head. If I have to take her face tape. I'll be like, that's my damn face tape now. Oh my God, Tug, that's petty. Yeah, I'm petty. Fuck you. Face tape my garbage can up. Look at all this gobbler neck. Look at that. Right, Michael. There, look, right, Michael. She's a gobbler neck, right, Michael? She's a drunk, right, Michael? Holy shit. Look at this. Right, Michael. Here's another one. How many damn right Michaels are in there? Oh my God. Such an idiot. I wonder how many right Michaels got popped in there. Right Michael. Right Michael. Let's see. Whoops. Let's go. So Michael pops up. There's one. There's another. There's another. Good God. Here's another. There's 4. My God. Look, there's another. It's just over. Look, here's another. And over and over. Right, Michael? Right, Michael? Right? You must agree with me. Right, Michael? Right, Michael? I've got I need to put in a chapter for chicken skin of the soul. I need to put in a chapter called Right, Michael. Oh my God, I'm gonna make a note of that real quick. Just give me 1 second. Just give me a second here. Oh my God, that's really funny. I gotta make a note for myself for it. I need to make a chapter. 1 minute. Make a chapter for chicken skin of the soul. It's all right, Michael. That's beautiful. That'll be a lot of fun. But no, I thought this was important to bring up. Like I said, they've been trying to push this. All of them have. You know, whether it's John Cook, the Fats like 2L, whether it's been their co-host, whomever, you know, they've all decided that when they're going to do this, they're going to do it under their own names. They don't care what the truth would be on something. They've just adopted a narrative, and too little, too late. Can't walk it back. You know, they've treated it, the Fats treated it just like it's stated fact. And like I said, you know, it's so easy to debunk. It's ludicrous. And in fact, when that first came up and people tried to do that, you know, you've got to remember that if there was anything like that to find, I had mainstream media all over my back. They're writing articles about what kind of monster and meanie I am. But none of them would touch that shit. Why? Because it wasn't right. And then they absolutely knew it. Yeah. But that doesn't stop. And usually, again, most of the time, idiots like this, they're immune to that because they have, like, what can you take from them? I mean, really, what do they have? They're losers. Let's just be real about it. They've attached themselves to attacking Jeremy Hales because they thought it would be a quick payday. And it was for some of them, but God knows they probably ran through all of that by now. But in order, throwing that out, you know, they love to weaponize. They love to weaponize stories that people that have been through these experiences too. You know, there are a lot of people that have been through horrible things in their lives. And when you look at this kind of stuff, it takes away from the real people that experience, the real people who've had to deal with those kind of situations, the real people who have suffered out there. That's the problem. That's why, for myself, that's why I talk about false accusations so much. It's not just because it creates victims, but it also takes away from victims. And for me, you know, I use the word victim loosely, by the way. I mean, really, let's be honest. You're talking about survivors, but They want to be victims. They don't want to, because it's not a real story. You know, it's a fake tale. I hate it. Like I said, one of the reasons that I feel like I have to bring something like that up too is because I have to ask these people to leave people alone. Like, again, you can see what they're doing. They're trying to trigger relapse. They're trying to trigger problems. You know, when they're reaching out and they're harassing somebody, you know, they're trying to cause them problem when they're not online or anything else. That's absolutely, it's just awful. You know, because they hope, again, they hope that they can destroy people's lives. And it's sad because, again, the person has put in, I mean, up to now, God, it's been a minute, but they put in years of work to try to get themselves back to go. And they've been doing a good job. And for somebody to try to take a match to their life is terrible. It's a terrible prospect there. And yeah, you know, of course, these people will never stop. They find something they can hurt, and of course they try to hurt it. I mean, they've already, you know, I've already had one of these morons threaten to dox them. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm not even connected to them anymore. Doesn't matter, because they hope they can do harm to them. You know, because if they do harm to them, maybe, just maybe, that'll do some harm to me. It's so crazy. It is, but it just shows you who you're dealing with. Like I said, Leslie, at the end of the day, I talked to counsel about that because I already have counsel. I mean, she's already, like, I don't know how to make this any clearer to these people. You're already being sued. When they're being sued too, I guess we've got a few minutes. Let's talk about this real fast, you know, just in case somebody doesn't know something about this. They're already being sued, again, by multiple parties here. And we're talking, you know, with damages. She, in a lawsuit, like, again, this is how it went. So on May 19th, she filed a lawsuit by and through Michael Ferderigo's, stating that there were allegations of defamation, invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligent infliction of emotional distress, cyberstalking and harassment, civil conspiracy, tortious interference with business relations against all of us. On the 16th of June, she files to amend that. And through, again, Michael Ferderigo's, acknowledges that plaintiffs have not yet been served. The lawsuit for ourselves arose after she participated in interviews regarding ongoing litigation involving Jeremy Hales, despite having no prior involvement with it. Defendant Michael Ferderigo's failed to conduct a reasonable investigation of facts and law before filing the original lawsuit. At the time of filing the original lawsuit, Michael Ferderigo's knew or should have known that the claims asserted lacked merit. So on June 15th, or right around there, Michael Ferderigo's files a request for judicial notice of the original lawsuit. In case, again, it's attached here if you want to look up the case filing. Michael Ferderigo's did not represent any party in the proceeding before the second court. Defendant Michael Ferderigo's had no legitimate purpose for filing the request for judicial notice. Michael Ferderigo's purpose in filing this was to harm all plaintiffs' reputations, which they're continuing to do. There's the allegation of that, and to exert improper pressure on plaintiffs. So their intent was to do harm on reputations. Well, like I said, they just spent a 40-minute stream trying to do that to myself. They have, God, look at all the claims about Megan Fox they've already made. Again, there's a really, really nasty one. She just spent, by the way, it's crazy. So Ferderigo's, she sits around and says that her mother recently was the villain in her life, and her dad was her huge advocate. He was the greatest thing ever, but he gets swayed to the mother's side because she's a monster, therefore. Well, before that, she had adopted a story saying that he was such a monster that he had SA'd her, and that Megan Fox talking about anything that he said was backing child SA. Again, that's reputational attempts at reputational harm. On top of that, and she's admitted that. I mean, she's admitted that she is attempting reputational harm. It's wild because these people are too dumb to freaking care. I mean, at this point, with again, Michael running that chat, you know, before you could argue that they're separated in this, but that's his channel now too. It's named after him. So the liability that comes with all of this stuff, he said on a live stream, he should know better. He should know better. It's just a lawyer, period. But as, again, opposing counsel to set on a stream and accuse somebody that is suing him and suing Leslie of stuff like this, and encourage others to pick up on that and promote it and push it too. Like, that is one of the dumbest things you could ever do, but they're idiots. So they put all this together, and then on July 17th, the original lawsuit's dismissed. Defense filed and maintained the original lawsuit without probable cause and with malice. Now, defendants used the lawsuit for an improper purposes to, quote, make the claim have an official stamp of approval because they are part of the public record, rather than to seek legitimate legal remedies. As a result, plaintiffs have suffered damages, including legal fees, costs, reputational harm, which they continue to try to do, emotional distress, and business losses. So the claims there, again, for Michael, malicious prosecution. Because Michael was part, again, they've done this so many freaking times, you know, with this stuff too. You got to remember, they keep saying, they love to say, hey, you know, there's no win when these people, they decide they're going to pick up a case and then they drop something, they do it. No, those proceedings, they terminate in our favor. If you go and you file a lawsuit and you decide that you are going to drop said lawsuit, you can't just pretend it never existed at all. If it terminates that way, who won? Well, it definitely terminated in plaintiffs' our favor. So, again, Federico's Michael dismissed the original lawsuit with bona fide termination in plaintiff's favor. He lacked probable cause for an original lawsuit. He didn't investigate facts, law before that. He should have known better. He acted with malice. Again, we're talking about people that are definitely, you know, they sit around and they talked about how we're going to get hit for hundreds of thousands of dollars with shit. Oh no, they have gone out of their way to say things that are so damaging. Now, again, look at the stuff they've aimed at Jeremy Hales. I don't even know how you can look at that stuff and say that anyone with half a brain wouldn't know better. They would know better than to attach that. And again, since the channel has been renamed, since it has both of their names attached, the mushroom claims about Hales, all of that stuff, it's on his channel and her channel. And he seems fine with his name being attached to it because he's an idiot like that. I mean, if you look at, let's see, give me a minute. If you look at the bumper that they had for that live stream, by the way, the one that we just talked about, let me get it real quick. If you look at the And look at how many times they throw in, again, like Hales. They can't stop themselves. They can't help themselves 1 second. And it's, yeah, again, if they want to mock, who cares? Like for me, who gives a shit? If you want to mock it, right, I'll do that all day long. But to, to take that, again, you can see like Hales here and you can see it cut off, but to make the point that they're trying to make with mushrooms, you can see with the Hales thing here, if you look, you can see with the mushroom, they locate, but it's cut off on the image there where they've got that. And then they add again, a supposed to be Megan Fox that is not clothed. You can't see anything because of the way the arm's set, but not clothed. Again, filleting mushrooms. I mean, the answer is perfectly clear. These people, I would love to see how they think that's going to play with some normie crowd out there. What a bunch of morons. I'll take it. Oh, by the way, so yesterday, my little one mentioned, she was talking about how she had watched The Dark Crystal and she was conflating The Dark Crystal and The Labyrinth. She had gotten them mixed up. So today she got to watch The Labyrinth and she's much happier about that. I mean, she was very upset about the whole thing. Let's see. She was upset. She was like, where'd the baby go? There's supposed to be a baby in it. But okay, so for count 2, again, with malicious prosecution with Leslie Federigo's, because again, she knew this was garbage. You have count 3, which is abusive process. And abusive process, it's again, abusive process, definitely, because they made an illegal, improper, or they perverted the use of process. They're using the system in a way that it's meant to harm reputations. It's not meant to pursue justice. Like I said, you've had them. It's bad when they say this stuff aloud, though. Typically, people don't sit around and brag about how they file lawsuits so they could harm someone's reputation. But Federica, Leslie, she's definitely done that. And Michael's been right there. So she's filed quite a few pro se, too. She's filed so many of them. Again, she meets the criteria for a vexatious litigant. And that needs to be stopped. After a person, when they start suing everyone. And when I say everyone, like I said, family, ex-clients, workers, they sued the bar, for fuck's sake. The bar. They sue anybody that remotely says something about them. All of that will come into play, too. Like they think somehow in some way that all of this stuff, anybody that looks at this, anybody that looks at their record and all of the stuff that they've done over time and doesn't ask the question of what the heck now? Again, this person, they put together this stuff. They blame Hales and others for it too. Is crazy. They put together fake obituaries. Leslie, she admits to it after she and Lisa, they blame all these other people for it at first. They all did it. Well, she ends up accidentally taking ownership. But you could tell Anti-Hales was not thrilled that they took ownership. But after that, they start cranking out this new narrative about it. And in the new narrative, she says, well, I had to do that to be left alone. Well, unfortunately, though, she, through a sock puppet account, was mailing family members and telling them that Leslie had passed away and, aren't they happy now? Essentially, crazy shit. The kind of stuff that You know, it's awful when you think about it. It's awful that you would do that to somebody, do that to family, especially. But you would think after all of that kind of stuff and all this other business that people would be like, yeah, that seems really bizarre. But no, I mean, you've got some hardcore, almost, I don't know what to call them besides, again, I refer to the word cultists. Because how else? If you don't ask any questions whatsoever, and many of these people don't, they admit it. They're like, I've never asked a question before. Oh, I would watch them, but you tell us not to. Man, that's a cult. That is an absolute cult. If somebody is telling you that you cannot listen to other people and put together some kind of proper response, well, I mean, what a bunch of idiots, though. Like I said, these idiots, Leslie and Michael, really screwed up. And most people would understand that. But just like the Fats and everyone else, they just sit around. They think that they can do or say anything they want, and they will never have a problem. And that is going to cause them issues. And these are the first people that definitely are going to have a problem. You know, they definitely will. You've got abuse process, like I said, for both of them, you know, and a demand, like I said, for jury trial. Now, with everything that was attached here, we are going to be adding in and amending our complaint. And there is so much stuff. I mean, if you look at her original filing, it was insane. It was absolutely freaking insane. For people who have not seen it before, God. When you go through, again, she tried to play at first. See, she's not going to be able to play this anymore. At first, she was like, I'm totally never did any of this stuff for fame or to get monetized. Now she's bragging about wanting to get monetized and stuff. So none of these claims are going to go right out the window. All of this, garbage. Absolute garbage. You know, Jeremy, he had 730,000. Me, I only had 7. You know, I only had 7. So she names all these people that she's going to go after. Including, she was going to sue, she tried to intimidate random people on Facebook. She called them Jane and John Does. You know, we've seen this from other people as well when they try to silence folks. They just start taking aim at just random folks out there and threw them in. But I mean, the stuff that they threw in here was so crazy. You know, they also, what was wild is, again, they were like, oh, he's had stalking injunctions. And then they throw in, again, the example. Oh, they put in a temporary injunction. A temporary, you know, not one that actually held. They try to use that. Oh, and look, he makes thumbnails, and these are meant to incite, you know. And look, then they go in with, oh, there's an orchestrated attack. I love this, by the way. You know, the action arose from a deliberate, coordinated campaign of online harassment, defamation, and reputational sabotage, orchestrated by defendant Jeremy Hales and his associates, noting blah, blah, everyone. You know, plaintiff, a retired attorney who now assists her husband's law firm, which that's interesting, by the way, became the target of a campaign after participating in a neutral interview regarding ongoing litigation involving defendant Hales. What began as a single Facebook post about a mutual acquaintance escalated rapidly as defendants weaponized their significant online following to publish and amplify hundreds of false, malicious statements about plaintiff. Now, again, they go through what I really loved about the examples in here, too, is she actually captures some of her sock accounts in this. She also, her timeline is so jacked up. that it's unreal. You know, we all put together a timeline that that showcased everything that transpired, but her timeline, like I said, it's such a mess. On top of it, too, she asked for people to write her and to tell her about everything that went on. And during this, she shows emails and says, oh, these emails here, they're all attacks on me. Like, check this out. This was part of her filing. She was like, she asked for people to email her. And when people email her and tell her about these folks and who people are and stuff, she's like, oh, those are attacks on me. It's like, wait a minute, but you asked for that. She also, one of my favorite things with this lawsuit, though, was, here's an example of what she tried to shut down. 27 members in a group called Legally Duckface, Lips/Leslie Federico's. In this, you have filings. You can see there's a bunch of filings here that are put up. And one picture, that it's a beautiful picture, by the way. I watched So You Don't Have To, correct? It went and put together. Plus, there's a Muppet. Now, you'll notice she's using a sock puppet account to make these screenshots, by the way. One of the wonderful allegations against her is that she operates dozens of accounts in order to damage and defame people. And look at that. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? Now, what's funny, too, is she's like, you know what? Because people have been talking about me, I decided that I would start putting together these crazy videos. And she goes through this whole freaking setup. And part of this, too. So one thing I really love, too, is she was asking, said DJ Radis, for example, she wanted people to roast her. Remember? She asked, and repeatedly, she asked for people to come after her and, again, you know, to bring their best shots. Well, what do you think happened with that? Do you think that after there was some roasting there, do you think she was like, oh, yeah, that was great? No, she added it to lawsuit. Look, right here. DJ Radis, after she asks him to roast her, she adds these to lawsuit as, oh man, look, I'm being harassed. You cannot tell somebody, by the way, to come in to roast you. Then when they roast you, you can't say, hey, you know, by the way, I don't want that. And I mean, it's so much insanity. Like her entire filing, though, is essentially random people online. They said things there for these people. And like I said, she doxed. She didn't follow Florida law. So as part of that, you're supposed to send cease and desist to people. You're supposed to tell them, hey, you know, I'm informing you, or you're supposed to give notice. I said cease and desist. You're supposed to give notice and make contact with X amount of time before. And she doesn't do that. She doesn't do that at all. She says that that they contacted Megan Fox, but the way that it's done, good luck holding it up in court. And they, like I said, they never contacted me whatsoever. Bunch of idiots, man. So it's just an absolute mess. But now they've walked themselves into the deep fryer, and it'll be really fun to see how that holds up, you know? It'll be really interesting. I'm curious. I'm curious how bad that'll get for them. So let's go over some super chats. We can talk while we're doing it. So, hey, thanks. Carolyn, by the way, sent through Cash App, sent $50. Thank you for that. It's for Amazing Dad. Get some things for the girls. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. I will definitely do that. I think it'll be fun. You know, we haven't, with medical stuff, I haven't gotten to do as much as of late. You know, like I try to take them out and do stuff all the time, but I need to take them and get. God, it's been freezing too. I want to take. They're like, get us ice cream, Dad, and I'm like, yeah, it's it feels like a freezer outside, kids. You know, so. But thank you there, and also again, Angela saw that I sent 25, and thank you for that. That I appreciate that. Every month it's hey, get a book or whatever, and I do appreciate that. I definitely I try to budget out entertainment with some books. You know, I just something for enjoyment. I've been watching, by the way, show-wise, again, about an hour before Hale's podcast. But for entertainment, I've been watching The Wire again. I haven't watched it in a while. If you've never watched the show The Wire, very good. Very, very good show. Just make sure it's a show that you would enjoy. But I always love that show. A lot of talented people, you know, and back before a lot of people recognize some of these folks, huge names. I mean, when you get Idris Elba and yeah, you got, I mean, it's just an army of folks. But anyway, let's do this. Max Lab kicked it off. Thank you there. Appreciate that. And also noted, hey, please submit a bar complaint on them. Yeah, definitely considering that for sure. You know, definitely. Like I said, if they want to personalize things and they want to, I've told people, if you decide that you want to put a bullseye on kids, especially on mine, that's fine. And that's part of what this is. If they want to do that, I take it personally. So, you know, I have nothing but time. This is my job. So digging through somebody's every case that they have out there, holy crap, there's a lot of them too. And things have not been going their way. You know, it's interesting that Leslie had a case that she brought recently that she did not show up for. Did you all realize that? She was online doing makeup tutorials instead of attending a case that she herself brought. Isn't that crazy? You would think you would prioritize these other things, but again, that's been her MO. She'll bring litigation. There's actually court minutes of it. Let's pull those up. So she had a proceeding. Check this out. I mean, this just happened. There's a court proceeding, court minutes on the 27th of January, 2026. It came before. You can see for ex parte, you have Leslie Federico's versus ABC Legal Services, JP Morgan, and Jane Doe. Now, the parties present, you have the court reporter, court deputy, parties appear by Zoom. Plaintiff fails to appear. The attorney appears on behalf of the defendant. The court rules as follows. The court dismisses this case without prejudice. Again, you can see them discuss that. Happens again. This is Leslie's case, and on the time she's supposed to be there, she is doing makeup tutorials on her YouTube. So publicly, she has filed yet another garbage lawsuit. She does not pursue it. She just wastes time with it. And sooner or later, it's slow. The system is, you've probably learned through Hales or other cases too. It's very slow, but eventually it does catch up. A fallen hero. Thank you for the gifted membership, by the way. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Suzanne, thank you for a gifted membership there too. Thank you. Again, appreciate you very much there. Again, appreciate the gifted memberships too, because they don't just back the channel, they give to other people. Tizzy, hey, by the way, Tizzy has a brand new video. It just dropped. I watched part of it. I have not had a chance to finish it all. It was interesting. I always like your videos. Like Tizzy does a good job researching. So if you have not checked out Tizzy DeMounce's video, You definitely need to. There's a brand new one out there. In fact, I thought originally I was going to cover Tizzy's video, and then because I knew it was coming up last night, and then this crazy shit popped off. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So I thought I would address that. You know, like, you know, and there are plenty of people too. They're like, you don't have to talk about that. Yeah, you kind of do. You know, when people are accusing you of the worst things possible, you kind of do have to talk about it. You may think that it doesn't merit response, but it absolutely does. You know, and it also merits response inside of a courtroom. It's already, I'm typically not a lawsuit type person, but since I'm already going after Leslie Federico's, I think that this is the perfect chance, perfect opportunity to not only address this, but to absolutely destroy somebody because of it. Because again, you don't get to accuse people of stuff like that. And then after that, you know, people like the Fats want to say, oh, we're going to sue you. Well, we'll see what happens. You know, you want to be like, oh, come at me, come at me. Really? Like I said, I named a list of people that it decided that this would be smart to put their name to. Tory, John Cook, and the Fats. So we'll see. We'll see what comes with all that. And I would love to testify about how they operate maliciously. They'll just make up anything just to try to damage people. I'd love to testify to that fact too. See, they're dumb enough to do that. But anyway, Tizzy, appreciate you. I was going to, like I said, cover. I'll probably cover it soon enough, but it'll give it some circular. But make sure Tizzy DeBounce, if you don't get any of Tizzy DeBounce's notifications, make sure to keep an eye on that. And if you've never seen the channel, go and check it out. Fun, funny. D Spills the Tea, what's up? Thank you for the gift of membership too. D Spills the Tea is another one. You know, does a great job investigating. You know, that's the kicker with a lot of this. You notice there's idiots. Like I said, these people just had a live stream where they told you we never investigate anything. Oh, that I don't know anything about that. Meanwhile, you have all these people that they look at something, they look at it comprehensively. They tell you about it, go through the documentation with it. How does that go? Crazy, isn't it? Thank you, D, too. Appreciate you. Did a great interview with, if you did not for some reason see the bench donor video. Oh, by the way, I forgot to bring up something. So now that Christmas party that the Fats had, now that too can't be talked about. Did you know that? Yeah, they can't talk about that either because privacy with the kids. They were going to put out a video to prove everything that happened. But now if they do that, Jeremy Hales. Jeremy. Isn't that wild? Oh, I'm going to have a little one here. Hey, what's up, girl? What you doing?
Don't forget, are you almost off your live stream?
I'm going through my super chats. I'll be done in the next.
Can I see some of them?
Super chats? Well, not these. You can't read these. Some of these are serious stuff today.
And what about the other ones?
Well, I don't know which ones are and aren't. You know, I haven't gone through them. Yeah, no. I'll charge your device for you if you want.
Yes, it's not zero.
I see that. We were doing some good reading research today. Did you like that ABC mouse?
Yeah, but the other one.
Yeah, but do you like that? I mean, I can pay for it as long as you're going to, like it and use it every day.
Yeah, I'll use it every day. And okay. I got some morning games when I was there.
You did?
Yeah, I got some morning games.
You did?
And tomorrow I'm going to have one more.
Oh, okay. Do you have... Okay, well, come here. Give me a hug. Actually, you know what? You're going to be doing tomorrow for sure. What is that thing we call cleaning? Oh, look. Hey.
No.
Hey, come here. You said you wanted to look at There's Cynic in Chief. Sent you $2 there. That says
If you don't like cleaning, send money so we don't have to clean again.
what? Well, he sent $2. Can you say thank you first of all?
Thank you.
He said money for your cleaning fund.
Yeah.
That's good. Look, maybe you can hire you a maid. Or something.
Yeah, we do need a maid in our house. We do need a maid in our
Are you
house.
just saying you're that lazy?
Yeah,
You're gonna make
I'm
somebody else do
lazy,
it? Oh,
and
no.
I can pick up that weight. Maybe I will have a wet in my room someday. If I do.
Oh, do you want to tell people about that mouse we caught?
Oh my God! It was different. It was in the sink
Yeah,
for a while. And it wasn't even moving at all when Sissy brought it upstairs and when it was cup. It said money if you don't like cleaning.
What? Look at that. Andre, can you say thank you first of all?
Thank you.
Said $2 and said money for not cleaning.
Oh,
you thought that was funny, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Money.
You nut. Oh Lord. You're a nut.
Thank you.
Yes, we had it. So we
You're
found,
laughing out loud.
yeah, well, we found that mouse in the sink. I was walking by. I looked over. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I told the girls, I was like, "Come here, check this out, check it out." And we picked it out of I found something and caught it in there, and it didn't even fight, did it? It just got in there. It was glad to be
It was
out.
just flying like this, not moving.
Yep. It was just like, save me, please.
Yeah,
so
he didn't like the water.
Yeah. Oh,
We never give him water that gets his feet in.
Yeah. Well,
We need a tiny boat that he
almost
can't quite
drowned.
see.
He almost drowned in there.
Yes, but
Yeah.
at least it was low.
Yeah. Yeah. He got real tired. He couldn't get out. So then after that, I even fed him peanut butter, right?
Peanut butter.
Yeah.
It looks like peanut butter with sores to me.
It was crazy, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that mouse is not. We put it in a thing to, like an old spider holder. We got these little ones.
Yeah.
Huh? What?
Mom.
Well, hey, why don't you go do your thing? I got to finish up. Okay. You go do your. Hey, wait. Come here. Here's Lady Tammy. Oh,
Yeah.
Look, that's your favorite color too. $10. Can you say thank you first of all?
Thank you.
It says cleaning must be done. So this is for pizza after cleaning is over.
I got pizza already, and then we can get extra pizza tomorrow.
Oh my goodness, more pizza.
Yes.
Are
Pizza and free rolls.
Are you dancing?
Yeah, maybe.
That was a little dance, maybe. What a dance. She put her hand over her head, just like wiggle, 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 wiggle.
I did. Wiggle, wiggle,
That was
wiggle,
a
wiggle,
wiggle.
wiggle. I know you.
Here's Lynette Mubston Esquire. Can you say thank you? It's $5.
Thank you.
It says money for extra cleaning supplies. You can't run out.
No.
Oh yeah.
People always send money if they don't want to clean.
You need lots of cleaning supplies. You need some clothes, big trash bags.
I just like
Is that your Rage Piggy sound?
You better not call me by that name.
I tell her that's her Rage Pig sound.
You better not call me by that name.
You want a Rage Piggy? Yeah.
I gotta stop. Don't send money for no cleaning.
No, you're a nut.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to clean in a day or two. Okay?
But
Today you can go goof off for a little bit, okay?
Yeah, but someone said no cleaning money.
I know.
No.
I know, no.
Whoever says money again when I'm gone, that means you don't want to clean.
So anything, no matter what it is, that's still a sign for not cleaning. I see.
Yeah, guys, you always don't want to clean.
I see.
They just want me to clean. Money for
Pickled Tink asked, "Did we feed the mouse to the snake?"
No.
No.
It was a lie.
Yeah.
It was a
well,
lie.
it's a big old mouse too. Yeah.
Yeah, and we only feed him baby mouse.
Yeah, you got to feed it tiny ones. You got to feed it those little bitty ones. It's too big of a snake.
Yeah.
Or too little of a snake, rather. That's too big of a mouse. Now that mouse is still hanging out. He's actually very calm.
Is that the money?
Yeah, that's
What
super
does
chats right there. See, that's they were asking about the snake. All right, but hey, go do your thing so I can finish these. I got to finish up.
Whoever sends money means no
Jeez.
cleaning. And those said no cleaning.
Hey.
Those said no cleaning money.
All right,
Even
well, go do
when
your
I'm
thing.
dying.
All right. Well, here, let me power through these real fast. I got to get done. Love you. She's funny. All right, let me fire this up. She could see the chat on my phone, but not up here, so I can fire this up. Yeah, I left it parked on something. There we go. Emma, thank you for the 5 there. All these people need some serious psychological help, preferably from prison. Indeed, they need to watch themselves. They're going to have some problems. Kirk, thanks for the 12 months. 1 year, baby. Hey, hello. Followed you in Magnum for 12 months. Seems like yesterday. I know it's crazy how far this thing has gone. How it's just nuts, isn't it? How this thing is. It also is crazy how it's morphed into this insanity, and yet. So, Cedric, thanks for the 5 there. Almost all these morons are broke and unemployed. That's right. But unfortunately for Chips, he's got an actual business for Jeremy, Tug, and Megan to go after. That's right. And that's exactly right. He has a license to go after, too. And you better fucking believe I will go after that when somebody wants to attach my name to some of the worst allegations that can be thrown out there. You better well believe I will go after that. Heck yeah. Also, Cynic in Chief noted, Tug lied yesterday. He says he doesn't host debates, but the funniest stream he's ever done was a moderated debate between Liam Gray and John Delarose. Yes, like I said, that was supposed to be, though, mending fences. And instead, it turns into someone saying they were going to kangaroo box a guy. And I mean, it was funny, but it didn't start off as that. It was a good one, wasn't it? Shay, thanks for the 5 there. Is it normal for someone that is depressed and have known your dog is your only anchor to this world? Well, it can be, yeah. But if you're feeling like that, again, depression, and you're talking like the language right there is worrisome, you know, and the fact that that makes me concerned for your well-being. And if you're having dark thoughts, especially, you need to talk to a professional about that. You do, because what happens with it a lot of times in life, we can be our own worst enemy. Time can be our enemy. We sit around and we feel disconnected and depressed. And when we get to that point, it's okay to need help. You know, when you feel like that, and it is okay too to have something. You know what? Every day when you get up, if you're moored to your animal, you know, your whatever you call it, your friend, family member, however you see your dog with that, it's okay. You do have an anchor there. You do have something, but with you feeling like that, you need more. You do. Like I said, it is okay to hurt. It is okay to need. It's okay to want more. But the things are like when it gets to that point, sometimes you need a neutral party. When I say talking about professional help, I'm not saying that to be dismissive or anything either. It's just a lot of times you won't find what you need online. You may find people to talk to, and that's good. That's okay. But a lot of times with a professional, you can sit down, you can figure out what's underlying all of this, and maybe you can get to the roots of it. And maybe in the immediate, if you're having, depressive thoughts, you're having any kind of like a suicidal ideation, if it gets to that point, you have somebody that can help immediately. But remember, man, remember that there's more. There is always something, again, to live for. And feeling like that, I'm not going to say everybody gets to that point, but a lot of people do. Man, I've been there. I think a lot of people have. And when you need it again, it's okay to need. It is. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to feel. A lot of times in this world, a lot of people, they kind of criminalize that almost. They use it against you. So you go out, you talk to somebody, you know, not just online, but you talk to somebody. If you need help monetarily, by the way, all these places that accept federal dollars or aid, they have to work off a sliding scale. So if you think, hey man, I can't afford that. Oh, you can, because they have to afford you. You know, they work off of, if you don't make money, they will work for free for you. It's just people have to ask for it. But it is okay. Yes, it is okay to feel like that. And you know what? You're noting that you have a reason to be around still. You can look at that like, hey, this is my only thing. No, you're looking and saying, I do have a reason there, because you want to continue forward. You're just looking for something. And sometimes we need help finding it, you know. Remember every day too, with like when they talk about goal setting, remember goals. When you're working toward them, they need to be concrete. Like, hey, I want to feel better. That's not a goal. What does that mean? And when you're working toward it, remember, you've got to take steps. Just like if I want to walk to the door across the room here, you know, if I want to open that door, I'm going to walk to it. So you got to take steps, and steps in life sometimes it's as much as you know, getting out of bed. Some days you've got to look and confront. And again, you need somebody like a professional a lot of times to help to walk you through that and to guide you through the process. But you know, again, love to you, my friend, and don't think you're alone. You have plenty of people around here, sit around, goof off with, you know. There will be plenty of people that, again, will appreciate you. Like I said, love to you. Cynic, thanks for the 5. The AI mushroom stuff isn't legally relevant or actionable. Yes, but it won't play well for a jury. The real harm is in republishing bogus online claims. Yes, indeed. You know, I do think when you add that in with the revenge prawn, I think you can make a case. I think you can say, look, instead of just distributing, they've gone to the point where they're creating something that, again, they call this guy a mushroom man. Mushroom is obviously them shorthanding, wording for the male anatomy. And they've already made claims about Jeremy Hales and Megan Fox. And now look what they're doing yet again. So I think you could make a good point. It definitely would not play well for a jury. You are right on that. You imagine juries, primarily you're talking about juries of your peers or females. You think females want to sit around and see that kind of stuff aimed at that doesn't play well. No, you're right. On to thanks you for the super chat there. Lurker tax plus birthday tax for whoever or whatever. Is it your birthday? You know what? If it's your birthday, awesome. If it's not and it's a birthday tax for somebody else, well, let's throw this in anyway. Let's do it.
Happy birthday
for everybody out there.
From
if it's yours,
both of us to you.
Happy birthday.
May all your dreams come true. Happy birthday. We love to have you here. Happy birthday. Here's to another year.
I appreciate you too. Very much. Thank you. Cynic, thanks for the 5. I suspect her excuse will be, well, the feds said it, and you're not suing them. Well, Tug was already suing them. Just had to admit they need to do that. Indeed. And I don't have to sue everybody. You know, that's the other thing. I just choose to sue them. You know, Cynic, thanks for the 2. When Jay is co-host, that must be confusing to them. I'm sure that's got to really mess their minds up, right? Mama Bear, thanks for the 2. Let's do it, right, Michael? Right, Michael. Count on their stream. They did so many of those. You are right. I'm glad you noted that too. Right, Michael. Laura B, thanks for the 6 there. Should make a comment about Lynette and lips. Oh my God. I think doing a commentary about the Fats versus Lynette would be really fun. You know, Cynic also, I like this. I thought, you know, thanks for the tip. Wait, the occasional flash gas guess is a geek. I know, shocking, right? You know what's beautiful is in the real world, a lot of these people like Leslie try to make life hell for, it looks like, for people that were geeks. You can just see it in their response. Oh, they're geeks, right? But in reality, we took over the world. You know, we took over Disney, we took over Warner, we took over a decade of freaking just movie domination. All these people, they started worshiping at our shrine. So good luck with that. Andre, thanks for the two. Blueberry glazed breadsticks with shaved coconut. Actually, the blueberry glaze sounds interesting, to be honest. You know, for sure it does. DTG, what's up, DTG? Good to see you. Thanks for the 14 months. Clanker, number 39756, checking in. Self-test, okay. Lurker mode, active. Indeed. Appreciate that. Thank you. Sitting, thanks for the two. Put that shirt in your online store for legal fees. Indeed. I need a shirt that says, you know, I help pay legal fees and all I got was lousy t-shirts. That's what we need, one of those. It'd be funny. Something to bark about. Thank you for the 5 giftos. Thank you, that too. I got to watch those like fall right in. I appreciated that as well. Thank you, my friend. Emma, thanks for the 2. Maybe crazy is their love language. It's very toxic. Well, when they're talking about we fight, that's not good, you know? Not good. Okay, the cat lady. Thanks for the 10. My dad was Greek. From Greece. He was the most level-headed, calm, kind person. Never yelled, drank, no rugs, no swearing. He was the I'm not mad, just disappointed kind of guy. He was perfect. Yes, indeed. I hate when people, again, take a nationality and they're like, oh, well, these people are just hot-tempered. They're hot-blooded. They like, no. You don't get to disguise your hatred or animosity under that. What you're talking about, not you as the super chatter, but what they're talking about when they're discussing volatility, that's not healthy. That's not you can, you know, for myself, like I can cut up with somebody. I can goof off with them, you know. It's just like with the kids or whomever, you know, we pick and goof off, but we don't fight. And accusing somebody of DV repeatedly. Again, how many times has she accused him of abuse? You know, or I mean, again, how many times has she called the police? That's not healthy. That is anything but. Massmore, thanks for the 5. Leslie, you're disgusting. I pray the judge holds you and hubby legally liable. This shite needs to stop. Indeed. Well, you know, they've spent, like I said, they have spent weeks falsely accusing Jeremy Hales. They've tried to make that, again, they have paneled off of it. And not once have any of these idiots thought, hey, this might be a bad idea. So we'll see how that plays. Again, they all feel like they are somehow impervious to consequences. And it probably helped. Again, Levy County is partly responsible for that. You know, when they've been able to act with impunity towards somebody because police will not protect someone. They will not stand up and do their job. That does make crazier. But hopefully in court, it will see some kind of change. So Terry, thanks for the A-Munch. Just a lurker checking in here. Right, Michael? Dude, I love that. That's really funny. Tizzy dropped another gifto there too. Thank you, Tizzy. I appreciate you. And again, I appreciate all you do too. Thank you. Again, check out Tizzy's new video. I think that's awesome. I always look forward to your videos. I like them. Puzzler, thanks for the 13 months. You know, things are bad when the therapist needs a therapist. Yeah, you know, most therapists do see therapists, though, because that stuff really does eat you up. It really does. But yeah, it's bad because people will dump all their unwanted garbage. And you know, I've set in, I don't mean anything negative by this when I say it, but I have sat with clients that are like, you know, your TV type of therapy, you know, you got a unhappy soccer mom, you know, with this, that, and other. It's okay to feel that way, by the way, but that's much different from the horrors that you see when some child comes through. Again, some of the stuff, God, man. Some of the stories just, I mean, they break you inside. And it's sad. It's sad to think that a kid suffered through stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of therapists do. And therapists, you know, there's a lot of, there's a high percentage of people that end up turning to substance abuse and all kinds of other mess because it just messes them up. You know? Therapists are usually some of the weirdest people you'll meet, just to be honest. Mental health professionals are some of the most eccentric folks, which is good in its way, but it's interesting too. Hey, Sean, thank you. 50 there. Appreciate that. Tug, you're an amazing person and father. We all love you and the girls. Thank you. This chat is fiercely protective and supportive of you and the beautiful girls. It's upsetting that you even have to explain yourself. F you and else. Indeed. Indeed. I don't feel like I need to, by the way, explain things to any of you all. But at the same time, if somebody's going to take that shot and they're going to note this kind of stuff, you do have to, unfortunately, you know, you can't let that just sit and exist, because these people they don't stop. You know, like I said, they don't do anything a smart way. You know, most people, when you ran into something like that and they find out, oh my God, they've been making all kinds of false assertions and shit, they would do public, like with Jeremy Hales, for example. You know, the stuff they've said about him, when they've run into the fact that some of that stuff is false, absolutely, they do a retraction. They do a public apology. Not these people. They just double down, triple down, quadruple down. And I'm kind of expecting that. Like I said, you know, with Leslie and them, I don't give a shit if they apologize either. Fuck them. You know, they want to play the game of throwing out just crazy shit that they could have checked off by doing like a minute worth of research. Well, fine, you know, reap the whirlwind for that. You know? They already have plenty of legal problems brewing, but they could always use another. Carol, thanks for the 20 there. It takes a lot to raise kids. Indeed, it does. To bring people to reality. It takes a great person. You, sir, are with two wonderful girls. Treat time for them with other quote-unquote holidays coming up. Yeah, that you all deserve, child. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, being a father is rewarding. It is also difficult. It is, you know, it is, but it's a good thing, you know. And the kids, they're good kids. They're very good kids, and you know, I take that responsibility very seriously. You know, I'm very protective of them. So, Natalie, thanks for the 50 there. Flock off haters. Look in the mirror and say hello to the idiot looking back. You know, Tug's a good person. Indeed. You know, people don't have to like you, by the way. That's not the thing. You know, it's just, it's really a testament to who a person is when they have to create a false narrative in order to try to ruin your life. You know? Like when they do that, they can't just sit around, because they take it to a next level. And there's so many pieces of shit like that. There's so many of them. Like I said, they think that in a court of law, they can just pull up some random thing offline or whatever and say, I read something here, therefore I'm okay. That's not how it works. It just doesn't work that way at all. have been plenty of lawsuits that work like that. Some fuck on, yeah. Puzzle Puzzler, thanks 5. They take advantage of your boundaries because they don't have any. That is true too. You know, they figure that people will not falsely accuse them of essay or other things. So, you know, like I said, if people operated like they did, if they planted stories like they did, if they did all of this stuff, you can imagine. Could you imagine, again, if somebody dressed up again, I even hate to say this. Could you imagine, like with Michael, for example, if somebody dressed up and started talking about his male anatomy, or Ray, or whomever, they started doing live streams like that every single day, hours a day. Can you imagine how that would be greeted? Could you imagine if they did that to like the Fats or something? They talked about their anatomical regions. They brought it up. They made streams about that, and they accused them of doing something like just disgusting with somebody else. You know how fast they would be like cease and desist and threatening to sue. And again, Jeremy Hales is already suing people. So it's wild that they would do that anyway. Just nuts. Travis, thanks for the 5 there. I think if someone falsely accuses you of being a child whatever and gets proven in court, they defamed you, they should have to register for a year. Yeah, I think that somebody, if they accuse you of something, I think false accusers should serve time. I do. And there are people that are like, no, because blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the only way to dissuade it is to not just put a financial, like when they start, again, when they start trying to ruin you with accusations like essay or, again, something that's your child or whomever, they should actually experience time with it. Resting B-face, thanks for the 5 there. Anyone half a brain. Now, these accusations against your ludicrous, Doug, shame on them. Of course, you know, like I said, anything like that, he'd never be able to do that. You'd never be able to professionally, you wouldn't operate professionally. And like I said, mainstream media would have canceled my ass, you know, within the Johnny Depp, Amber Heard mess. They would have absolutely stepped into there, but none of them were dumb enough. You know, and it's sometimes I thought, man, if they would have been payday, baby, you know, but they weren't. Travis, thanks for the 5. It is sad that what makes these sick fucks happy and feel good is to destroy someone's life, name, all that shit. Hope you and Lug and Bug are doing great. Yeah, we're doing great too, man. And yeah, it is sad. You know, like I said, I feel bad for Hale. Like, again, when I'm talking about this stuff, like, again, are they going to hurt me? You know, now can they hurt potential on the channel? Well, again, I'm having to talk about it. So that's bad enough. Again, I will bring that up in a courtroom here, you know, just to make that clear. And if they had half a brain, they would understand. If they look up defamation cases, whoo, man, some of the stuff they pulled in, like they gave me an atom bomb to utilize. It's amazing. Debbie, thanks for the gift-o there. Appreciate that. You know, appreciate you too. Thank you, Debbie. You know, very much so appreciate it. Something to bark about. Thanks for the 20 there. Here's my $20 deposit for chicken skin for the soul. Please autograph for me, for you, Bug and Lug. Yeah, I still, I'm not, as far as physical copies, I still have not gotten all the way in. I thought about doing like 100 copies or something just to see how that goes. And then if there was enough demand, I might do it. Like I did 100 numbered copies or something. And if there was more demand, I might print a few more after that. But do like a test run, you know, just to have fun with it. See what happens. I thought about talking to Critical Blast. You know, those guys are good guys. I've used them for comics and stuff. They do a good job. So Tight Line again. Thanks for that. I don't have a comment, but that in and of itself is a comment. Indeed. Yes. You don't have a comment, but backing in and of itself is a comment. Yes. You know, and it is. I love saying that too. I see people, you know, they'll be like, hey, thanks for the 5. And I'm like, well, it's not just a 5. It is a comment about your channel. That's why I always like throwing that in there, but it's funny. Appreciate that. Hey, thank you for the super chat there. Again, no comment attached there, but that says plenty. Thank you for your backing. Appreciate that. DJ Bradis, thanks for the 2. Tugging with me via messages is about your fight video. Okay. Do you have any messages? Which messages are you talking about, by the way? Are you talking about email or what you're discussing? Let me see. Do you mean, I'll look on Facebook and stuff. I'll check. Hey, Baker, by the way, thank you. Sent 10 through Cash App. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, that's like I said, that's awesome. For said love to you, Tug. Well, hey, love to you too. Appreciate that. It's awesome. I think tonight I'm going to watch some kind of crazy movie. I'm not sure what to. I may pick up like a movie or something and just, I don't know. Like just take a little, you know, time for fun. But Cynic, thank you again for the bug cleaning or not cleaning. Andre, thank you again to Lady Tammy. Also, thank you with that. Lynut, thank you as well. We got this one too, Pickle Tink, but thank you again, my friend. Martin, thank you for the 2 there for cleaning like I did. I'm show her that later when she comes back around. I'll be like, ha ha ha. Thank you there too. Appreciate that. Resting B-Face dropped a membership too. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs. Thank you. And for letting me say that. I always love that. That's a lot of fun. And is that for Katie? Is that KT? I'm not sure how. Well, happy to spend my birthday here with you. I've been shaking my hand at they're stupid for so long. I can see them as the ones that peaked in high school. Yeah, that's actually, you know, that's exactly what I was thinking with a lot of their statements. They seem like people that probably peaked in high school. Let's bust you out a song here, though.
Happy birthday from both of us to you. May all your dreams come true. Happy birthday. We love to have you here. Happy birthday. Here's to another year.
Much appreciated there. Let me set my redirect up, by the way. I haven't done a redirect yet. Let me set that up for, again, the Hales will be on pretty soon. You know, what's weird is it never shows me their streams next. Crap. It never shows me them as a next to. So bizarre. There they are. Took me a minute to find it. But yeah, they come up in what? 17 minutes. So give me 1 second. Let me make sure I haven't missed anybody. And I will redirect you over. Like I say, I appreciate the heck out of you folks today. Again, I was going to cover something else, but I thought, man, you know, these people are they're taking their shot. They're trying to do their damages. So I'm going to put it on record. This stuff, number 1, is not true. And number 2, I'm going to put it on record. So when it comes to court, that I had to actually bring it up. That way, again, this denotes the fact that you had to take it seriously, and you know that they potentially can cause damage, because that's how this works. But let's see. Hey, Sweet Rage, thanks for 5. Have Jeremy and George auction 1 through 10 of the book. That would be interesting too. That would be funny. Auction off number 1, especially. But anyway, I'm going to send you folks over. I appreciate you all. I'm sure tomorrow we will be on with Megan. So I'm sure she'll enjoy all of the crazy that has gone on this weekend too. Lordy. But anyway, I'll send you over. Appreciate you. See ya.